houses and walk straight, it might be 1 minute away, you know? So you got to take that into account when you're taking into account the cell phone strength and signal and coverage and all those good things. So I'm curious to know what you guys think about this, and I would love to know your input and feedback if this helped you understand it a little bit better of what we look at with cell phones, the different frequencies, the difference between 3G, 4G, 5G coverage, the difference in the round trip frequency time and what feet it takes versus how quick that it communicates with the tower and everything. And if you guys have any questions at all, please leave them in the comments. I can answer them for you. This is what I did for a long time, was work directly with this information. And I got it down pretty good. So none of these towers are really high except for the one to the south. The one to the south is the only real tower, and it's 86 meters. So standard size. Sometimes we see them go up to 300 feet. This one is like 250 feet, but yeah, this doesn't make me feel like the cell phone coverage and data will be reliable.
Yeah, I can see why.
Yeah, but let me know what you guys think.
Yeah, for sure. I think this was incredible information.
Same.
So
nice.
we were muted. We were muted.
Oh, awkward. Great video, if
my
I
nose.
must say so myself.
My nose is hurting. Let's see if it transfers over. Hey, Ga T.
Hey, Ga T.
And
hey,
M. You guys liked it? You thought it was a good watch?
Oh, you also work in the cell phone industry, M. I'm so glad that it made it more clear. It made it more clear for me, for sure, especially with the visual aids.
Yes. There's just a lot of details when it comes to wireless coverage, and it could be very hard to understand, especially with all the new technology. And I know that we talked about it on here before, but there's a lot of decoding that goes on with cell phone technology now too. So like, let's just say you have these, I gave an example like this before last time too. Say that you have 3 people and these are 3 different people's phones. All right. And when that connection is being sent to the tower, they're actually in the same frequency and line. Like imagine a string being connected to the tower and each phone, and then connect those 3 phones' frequencies together, and each phone rides the same frequency, and then it goes into the tower as one frequency, and the tower has the software in it to pull those phones apart now and take them where they need to go. I forget what it's called. I think it's overlapping or multi-band frequency. I think I could be getting that name wrong, but I think it's multi-band frequency is what it's called. And it's super interesting. But I just had to work in it for a long time, and there's still logins where, you know, when you're in that industry, you get logins that will tell you where every single tower is, literally every detail that's going on with it. Like I used to be able to log into, look at a tower. I would get the tower's serial number, and then I would put that serial number into another login, and it would pull up every single detail. I could see what phones were connected. I could see how strong that signal was. Like I could see everything, not text messages and personal stuff, but just directly tying to the tower and the connection strength and all of those things. So it is very interesting. I think it's very interesting in this case because of this here. Now this is not the special login site, you guys. I could get in trouble for that. There's actually something that pops up on the screen and says that this can't be shared. It can't be talked about in front of customers. You're supposed to go in away from the customer, like somewhere where nobody else can see the screen when you're logging into that profile. Yeah. Well, because it gives every single phone's MEID and IMEI and serial number and SIM card number, the SD number. It gives all of that information on there. So that's all private information. With that information, you can get quite a bit of information. You know, you could call in to a cell phone company and say, hey, you know, I don't know what my login is, but I have all my phone data. Here's my SIM card. Here's my MEID number. And can you do this for me? If you have the SD number from a SIM card, you know, a SIM card's like one of these bad boys that are that's way smaller and stuck in the side of the phone. You can copy those, and your text messages and calls can be going to somebody else's phone. Like it really is private information. So here are the towers that we're talking about, though. We only pulled up these specific. Why is this not working? Oh, ad blocker.
Premium membership.
Yeah, what? Hang on. There we go. Okay. Okay. So you guys can get a better look here. This is the okay, so here's the 3 towers. Let me click out of this. This is a tower here, okay? And this is Moscow, as you guys can see. Let's find King. King Road is, where is it? Am I blind? Right.
So look for the university.
Yeah.
And then
is it being covered? Is that why I can't see it?
I believe it's over here, isn't it?
Is it?
I thought so.
Oh yeah, it's right there. Okay, I'm sorry. I was too close to the university. All right, Queen, King, bam. There we go. Everyone sees it. Queen, King. So just remember that where we're looking is right where the landscape turns from green to white. So as we go out, it'll stay like that. That'll be a good marker for us to remember, right? Because it's literally right there where it turns from green to white. And then here are the 3 towers. What's interesting, and this is why I think everyone says 1 tower, you guys. So this tower here is right on the ridge of going out of Moscow, where technically that could not be Moscow. I saw addresses for this tower specifically with 1 carrier that didn't say it was in Moscow. And then I saw a different carrier who had the same address who said it was in Moscow. So I think that's right on the line right there. So technically, even though this is the only real tower, you guys, the only one, these other 2 are not real towers. They are what you call a mini tower. Hey, what's going on, Squirrel Cam? We are super stoked you're here. We always love new people coming in.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And welcome.
And hey, Casey and Cynthia and Ann.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Prisoner is here.
Yes.
Hey, Ian.
Okay. But going back to what I was saying is, I think that's why a lot of people don't count this one here as a tower. I think that it could be debated one way or the other, but we'll include it because it reaches King Road. Okay. So we'll just say that this is one, but for the argument that there's only 1 tower in the area, the tower I think they're talking about is this tower right here. That's right on top of, Theophilus, I think, as someone was trying to correct me on, the Theophilus Tower. This is really the only tower that covers the university, King Road, and that area where they say they're seeing Bryan be connected to. But what's interesting is, let's see where this all covers, all right? Look at that coverage. That is a big area, you guys. That, I mean, when it comes to cell towers, it's not a big area. But because this is a tiny town, this is a big area. I mean, he could be anywhere. He could be on downtown eating, right? He could be doing anything in this area right here. Let's see.
It's so weird how like strange the shape of it is. And that's because of like interference in some areas, right? And
it could be because of interference. It could be
mountains or something.
So
I don't know.
Here, let me pull up.
I don't think there's mountains there, is there? I don't think so.
Cell phone tower.
It's pretty flat.
Okay, so why I think you see those different areas is, for one, that's not a real tower. Like I was saying, I don't think any of those are real towers where you're going to get that round coverage shape. But each of these are not the same strength here. Can they see me? Yeah, normally this right here is what connects this tower to another tower.
The little circle thing?
The little circle things. There's two ways that each tower that you see gets connection and service to it. One, it is always connected underground. You will always see this big giant, like 10-foot by 10-foot box that sits at the base of it, and that is normally fiber and cables ran underground out to this tower and up to it. But sometimes those go down. Sometimes grids go down, and it's not uncommon. So that cell phone companies don't lose connection. What they end up doing is they put these on here, and these are like extender satellite things that connect them to other towers, so they never lose that connection. So like, I bet it's on here. Yes, look. See this yellow right here?
Mm-hmm.
That's one of them. That is that little that's that satellite looking piece. So when they say that Bryan could be connected at this house in this area, I believe that he could be connected anywhere right here.
Zoom in on, wait, anywhere
on this side, because remember, we have to identify 120 degrees. So because he will have been connected to one side of this tower here, not all of them, but one side of this tower. And I believe that that is this range here, which covers the downtown food place, Main Street, where all the eateries are. And it could be any of that. It probably covers that grocery store, the 24-hour grocery store for vegans. That's really good for vegans. And that's interesting. That's really interesting. Now, so if there's only one tower, you guys saw the range of reliability with one tower. With one single tower, each tower fewer than 3 gets cut in a third. So so statistically, when you have 3 overlapping towers, you have a 60 to 80% efficiency, reliability, efficacy rate of success in being able to tell you exactly where someone is in 3 overlapping towers, roughly 60 to 80%. So what that could mean is, if they're saying that they've got you down to a 10-foot radius, technically you could be anywhere between, hold on, let me do math real quick. So that's 4 additional. So, and that means that you could be anywhere between 12 and 14 feet radius in that 10-meter radius. That's what it means. It doesn't mean you could be anywhere around the tower. It means your range of error is by, that 20 to 40%. 40% of 10 is 4. So 12 to 14 feet range. And when you have a huge spread of a tower, so when you're talking like 3G connection, and these towers that you're connecting to are 5 miles away, 2 miles away, 1 mile away, that range is going to be massive, you guys. It's going to be huge, because the reliability on being able to pinpoint where your location is, the closer to the tower you are, the more effective it's going to be. Now, the only other tower that covers 1122, you guys, is this one here. This is the only real tower. See?
Yeah. Whoa.
See the difference between a real tower and one of those mini towers?
It goes so far.
Oh, it goes so far. We're talking miles.
Oh my God.
Yes, this is absolutely a real cell phone tower, the only real tower, non-mini cell tower in the area. This has coverage way out here, covering, you know, all these other towers on top of it.
Totally different towns.
And this isn't even a big tower either, you guys. This is just a mid-range tower. It's not that big. It's only like 250 feet. We appreciate that, Squirrel. We try and take bias out of it. We do everything we can to try and take bias out of it. And I feel like we try and not give our opinion so much and let the evidence lead us. We're always going to fail at things when you're looking at stuff like that. There's no way not to be biased, but we try to the absolute best we can. So I appreciate that. I always like when someone points that out.
Yeah, appreciate that.
No.
Our wife.
No, they aren't. So there are closed networks and there are open networks. 99% of people that have Wi-Fi, and for our audio listeners, I should start saying these out loud since we're going to be posting this.
Yeah,
and
say it out
honestly,
loud.
I should have done an intro and said who we were and everything. But so if I was driving down the road, are home Wi-Fi signals being recognized by my phone or vice versa by any given home in range that is that info retrievable? So only if it is an open network, which is very rare. Like if you're driving by a McDonald's or a Starbucks and you have settings on your phone that allows your phone to connect, like I have all those settings turned off. I do not let my phone connect to nothing ever without my approval every single time. So if you have those settings turned on, absolutely, that could pick up a Starbucks, a McDonald's, any of those open networks. But just your everyday home Wi-Fi, most people do not have an open Wi-Fi network. That is super scary because, like, just to give you an example, some of the things that are going on right now, if you had an open Wi-Fi network and you had a what is that called, the Google Home, right?
Yeah, or an Alexa.
Yeah, a Google Home or an Alexa, and you had an open Wi-Fi network, someone that knows what they're doing with technology could drive by, connect to your home network, get into your router, figure out what those devices were connected to it, connect to your Google Home or Alexa, and listen in on conversations until you call your bank and say, yeah, I need to find out what's going on with my account, or hey, I need to close this amount of stock. Yeah, here's my number, here's my PIN, and they got that, right? Now they know what you sound like, they probably know your name, they probably know your password, they can call in and pretend they're you. I don't see very many Wi-Fi networks open anymore.
Yeah, there was also a case of some guy hacking it, like an Alexa for little kids,
Yes.
the ones for little kids,
Yes.
and talking to the children, like literally talking to them through it.
So that was on, if you guys are curious, because we always want to give content creators a shout out. That's where we found it on Christina Randall, who covered that just recently, actually.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, no, you're actually it was a family member that told me.
Oh, well,
Yeah,
Christina Randall covered it, and she gave some clips of that. and it's terrifying, dude. This is a tiny girl, and this guy was saying something about being Santa Claus and saying, you know, I think something along the lines of he's gonna get you, and like evil laughing and stuff like that. And it's absolutely terrifying, dude. The little girl ends up screaming at the top of her lungs, running out of the room and getting her mom, and bam, yes, leave your Alexas unplugged, 100%.
So Cynthia wanted to know what those settings were.
So
I'm sure
it
there's several of them.
It depends on what kind of phone you have, but like Apple, if you go into your Wi-Fi under settings and you go under ask to join networks, you can set that setting to notify or ask. So it's going to alert you before it connects any networks. And you also have ask or never join hotspots as well. So
yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right, Ian. It is. I know.
Yeah.
So, would it show available Wi-Fi?
I think what Rabbit was getting at was if Kohberger could have drove by their house because there was some kind of...
That's what I was going to say.
Oh, well, go ahead.
No, you're clarifying it. That's what I was about to say.
Kohberger drove by their house and there was some sort of statement made in the last, whatever, 6 months or whatever it's been, 9 months now, that his phone connected to their router. It does not work like that. It would not pick up your phone unless they had an open network. And I would be blown away if they had an open network, you guys. Blown away.
Okay, but say they didn't have, I mean, they might have. I mean, their house was open to everybody. Say you are, you know, like, for example, when I'm sitting at home and I open my phone and I look at all available Wi-Fi networks, I see a whole bunch from neighbors that are connecting to my phone. Now, they're not actually like connected, like I'm on their Wi-Fi, but my phone is recognizing them. Can that be seen?
No. That can't be
doesn't
seen.
get recorded anywhere.
No.
So he would have to know the password, or they would have to have an open network and he would have to physically connect to it.
So what happens when you connect to those is the router itself is going to then communicate with your device and give a code that says, yes, we approve you to connecting. So then the phone will send the information over to the router. The router will put it under the approved list of devices. And then only after that will the router then send its signal and Wi-Fi connection back to the phone, and you are now connected. So without that command prompt, somebody giving the okay, that's not going to happen. That information and data is not going to be in there. Now, if something comes up, right, let's play the flip side here for people that believe Kohberger is the guy. The only way, you guys, there's a couple things we would have to identify. One, do they have an open network? And I would almost bet everything without even knowing them that they are young kids. They knew what they were doing. They had people at their house all the time. They didn't want their Wi-Fi and router all clogged up to where they can't use it. And they don't have working phones because the network sucks out there. They rely on that Wi-Fi connection. I almost guarantee that is not an open network. There are so many people that live around there. But if it was, right, that's step one. We need to find out, is it an open network or not? If it's not, which I don't think it is, I would bet everything on it not being, then he would have had to have been in the house and someone would have had to have shared that information with him. Now, do they just have a regular router where they could pull up the back of the box and punch in the router information and then they would be able to connect? I don't know. Do they have a more advanced router like ours here where a device literally cannot connect to it until I say it's okay on the phone, or she says it's okay on the phone, where people could ask all day long, you could have the router information, but it doesn't matter because we still have to hit okay. I'm saying it's okay from my device and password and then connect. I don't know. There's no way to know what level of security they had, but one the only way that there's a connection there is if it's an open network, is what I'm getting at.
That's so funny. Joey. They put dance music on her Spotify account.
No way. You know, I just screwed up our podcast the other day. Actually, it was like a week ago. I'm so angry at myself. I was trying to get our Patreon set up and connected with Spotify so our Patreon members can get the newest episodes out sooner. And I moved numbers around and I messed up something up, and I'm really good with tech. Like I can figure out almost anything, literally. It doesn't matter what it is. I can figure it out, and I can usually do it within a matter of, 20, 30 minutes. But I moved something around and it pulled our podcast off of every provider, you guys, literally everything, off of Spotify, off of Apple, off of Amazon, off of Google, off of all of them. And I didn't realize until 5 days later, after everything had been pulled down. So all of it had been taken off, and I just started putting it back up yesterday. So if you guys get a chance and you guys listen to Spotify or Apple or Google or Amazon, look us up, give us a rating because you like the show. And a comment or whatnot, because that helps us get seen. And because I messed up our flow. So I would appreciate that. That would be a big deal to us for sure. Yeah. Whatever your podcast provider is. And what's really cool, you guys, is here. I'll pull this up real quick. Is this right here? We now have a second podcast up that what we're listening to and talking through right now, we are going to be posting on all the same podcast platforms. So we're going to be going on Spotify, Amazon, Apple, Google, Castbox, iHeartRadio, Pocket Cast, Radio Public, and multiple other ones. And just so we can have these live conversations on there. And I'm sure this is going to be the platform where we have guests and whatnot, not so much the long form podcast, but maybe. So, I'm super excited about it. Yeah. To be able to get it out there for people that aren't YouTube users, but want to listen to true crime talk shows, Yeah. So, oh, go ahead.
Comment right here. Asked
what?
Here, let me see.
Yep.
Isn't there GPS data from his car that would be more accurate and reliable?
No. So if he was driving a BMW, if he was driving a brand new car, yes, there is data that connects to satellites. Like the car we drive, both of them have that data and information. His car does not. What his car has is this black box in it that only turns on and reads certain information when it feels like it's going to get in an accident. So let's say he's driving down the road 60 miles an hour and an 18-wheel truck slams on its brakes in front of him. Then he slams on his brakes. That would turn that black box on because it has a sensor in there when things get jolted or a bump or a crash or anything like that. And it would turn that on and record exactly what happened for insurance reasons, for all these other reasons. But otherwise, it doesn't just track where you are. He unfortunately didn't have a new enough car for that. Yeah, OnStar is only on some of the newer cars.
Is that considered OnStar?
No,
okay.
No. But the cell phone stuff, I think, is the most interesting. And this is really the only tower that I would trust right here is the one we're looking at, you guys. And look how far away that is, too. So, yeah, you're right,
50
Ian.
to 100 feet's really little.
Yes, it is.
It's a short distance.
So remember where 112 King is, right? So we have multiple bands of coverage here. And King is right here. King is right here, right? And we have LTE coverage. This is a public band, so this would be an overlapping tower. So we have this tower, which is really strong, multiple bands overlapping. So the reliability on this tower would be pretty good as long as there's not anything else getting in the way of it, getting in the way of that cell signal, which I don't know without being there if it would. Then we have this mini cell here, which is kind of like, look at this line. That's usually not so reliable. And then we go down here and there are very few people connecting right here. Look, red. So there were some issues. But those dots are data connections, right? And that's a main road. So you would be able to see that main road right there. And there would be some sort of connection. Why is there? That's weird. There's a bunch of stuff here. I wonder what that is.
So
don't
that's
know.
supposed to be like the reliability, like.
Yep. Those are
people
actual data
connecting.
points. Yeah. Connected. Yep. Absolutely. And you can see there's always quite a bit of people here, quite a bit of people in here, which makes sense. And then we have King and Queen Road. Let's see if, no. Okay. It doesn't give any of that information. So I would say that this is not as reliable as a connection. This is what you would call a mini cell data, or a mini cell tower. I'm sorry. Now, let me see if I can pull up one of the other towers to show you guys that there's over 30 towers here in this area, but they are closed network towers where they don't serve any purpose. None. Zero. I believe it is going to be, no. I guess I can show that here. Let me show you this. So as we're looking at AT&T towers, right? So AT&T towers are going to be these two right here. This tower down here, from my understanding, is a T-Mobile tower, I believe. Maybe this is the T-Mo tower. I need to triple check that. It's not that important. But so we have two AT&T towers for sure right here. But when we switch over to T-Mobile, you see what towers T-Mobile is using. T-Mobile's connected to this tower here, and they're using that AT&T tower. So that gives a little bit more of an explanation to like what we were talking about on the stream, where we were saying this right here, this row is usually one cell phone company. This row is usually another cell phone company, and this row is usually another cell phone company.
But this tower that you're talking about right now doesn't look like that because it's just a little mini one on top of a building.
Correct. It is just a mini tower on top of a building. That's correct. Yep.
I didn't realize they did that. I had no idea.
Oh yeah, they share towers. You get
not the sharing.
twice the
I'm
distance.
talking about putting it on top of a building.
Oh yeah. I mean, that tower that we looked at up here. Hang on, let me go back to AT&T real quick. See if I can. Okay, AT&T US. This tower right here, you guys, this is on top of a water tower. This is on top of a water tower right here. So that does not sound very reliable to me, being on top of a water tower, because it's not even on the top. It's on the side of it, which is why I think we see interference here. See how there's no coverage right here?
Yeah.
Because it's on the side of the water tower facing this way. But again, it doesn't cover 1122 King. No coverage. So we have one mini tower, weak signal, and one real tower with a strong signal that could potentially give coverage information for somebody that would be at 1122, whether you believe it's Bryan or you believe it wasn't Bryan. they would be able to get this information all the same, but it just wouldn't be very reliable. I wonder how many kids were in this general area during that time. You know what I mean? To see, because they absolutely, when they don't have suspects, you guys, they will pull the data from these towers, because it is, anytime you're connected to a tower and actually using the data, you get put on a list and you can see what phones were on that tower during certain times, like for audits and making sure the tower's working and all that good stuff. They can absolutely go back and look at what phones were connected to the towers during those times. So could they look for phones that aren't normally there? Could they pull, you know, a list from the 13th, a list from October 13th, a list from September 13th, and then compare, oh, okay, this phone was here, this phone was here, and this phone was here. This was, and, oh, in November, this phone wasn't here on September 13th or November or October 13th. So why was it there on November 13th? And then let's dig, right? And that's how investigations should be going. Now you have a potential suspect, not a suspect, a potential suspect to at least look into.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And these are the investigative techniques that I don't believe we were seeing from Moscow. We always side with law enforcement wherever we can. But in this situation, there are a lot of question marks, man. I have so many questions. Even if Bryan is the guy, I still have so many questions why law enforcement didn't get a more thorough investigation before throwing him to the wolves.
Yeah.
It's a weak investigation, whether you think he's the guy or you don't. It doesn't matter, you know? I know that there's been a lawyer that's gone on some content creator shows recently. I don't remember his name or anything like that, but he came out and was like, look, I believe the Idaho 4 case is kind of strong. I don't understand that. I don't see how. A strong case is being able to take out a piece of evidence and still have it land. That's a strong case.
Yeah.
You take out anything in Idaho 4,
and it all falls apart.
Everything falls apart. All of it falls apart. They got nothing. And we don't even know if they have something with what they have, every single piece of evidence. So I personally do not think this is a strong case, but understand, like, I'm always super transparent. Like, I am not a lawyer, okay? If a lawyer is saying they have a strong case, doubtful, but I'm not a lawyer, right? I just find I'm super interested in these topics, and I feel like that does give some experience, but I didn't go to training in school for it. So a lawyer would probably know better. But when comparing this to other cases that we know were slam dunk, open and shut book cases, this doesn't feel like it, right? Am I tripping here? Like,
no, it doesn't. You know what I think would be interesting to do, though, is take the map of where they say he drove that night, and then look at it compared to the cell phone towers.
Oh, that's a good idea.
How could they have pinpointed that at all? Like, look at what towers would connect to those areas.
Here, let's pull that up. Let's look at his assumed driving route. You had that.
I had what?
The route.
Yeah, I did. You can look at it. It's super easy just to get on a Google search.
Okay, hang on here. Give me a sec. Okay. That's not a good one. Okay, so
yeah, we need a more. Is that one looks more detailed, doesn't it?
This?
Yeah. It's better.
Okay.
Still not like wonderful, but it's better.
Okay. So here we go. right? This is what we got. So
Wait, are they saying he traveled all out here too? No.
that's what they're saying. So
So,
one, look,
here.
242, Kohberger's cell phone is located at his residence. All right. So then let's hop back over to this. Now let's go over to Pullman. He could be connected to any one of these towers, I bet. Yep, that's a real tower. Oh, that's not.
What the heck is that?
That's probably a backup band.
Oh.
Those are mini. Actually, I think these here are like what I was talking about that we used to have.
Yeah.
Where they
it's
had
a booster.
Yes, this looks like a booster, but let's see. It'll tell us here. So macro, okay. LTE, well, yes, it's a cell. Yep. So it's a small cell.
Yep. So
Yep.
the same thing.
24, 22. I'm just surprised how many different bands that has. Okay. This is the only real tower though. So, okay. And this is pretty good. Like that's pretty, I bet this is going to be over 300 feet tall. Let me see if it'll show me.
Wait, does that cover 1122 King Road?
No, not with 5G. And it also wouldn't. Why is this not coming up? Okay, there we go. Hang on. Is this going to show me the height? No. But it has 2.4. Okay. So we have this tower here that is what he would have been covered on, right? And then let's see. They're saying he drove all the way down here, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, he drove to Moscow.
Look,
so one to Moscow. Or wait, 247. The cell phone shows it's traveling
down to 270.
No, it travels here.
Yeah, that's to 270.
And then to 270, right?
Okay, so then and then
2 is where it turns
over,
off, though.
So he would have been covered, right? All the way through here on that tower because they're saying he drove to the 270 connection. Yeah, this is 270.
They don't have data of him driving to Moscow.
I understand that.
Okay.
I get it. But he would have been connected to this tower. Yeah.
If his phone was connected, but it wasn't.
Right. So he would have been connected here to this one tower all the way into Moscow where it stops literally on the state line. Yeah.
That's not the state line.
This that's
this is the
pretty
state
dang
line.
close.
It
to
is
the
very
state line.
close. Yeah, it is very close.
And then now they're saying the Hyundai Elantra makes 3 passes at 112. Now that's where the biggest question mark is, right?
Yep.
And we've looked at this a million times, but the only one that he would be connected to would be this one. Well, no, I guess it could be this one here or this one here. More than likely, it's this one, depending on, well, he came from up here. So he probably would have bounced off of all 3 of these towers, you guys. So when I'm looking at that, right, this tower here, this water tower has the deepest connection over to state lines. So more than likely on this highway, he would have been coming in, driving on the 270, picking up connection on this water tower right here, which as long as he's connected to a tower, that's how you could identify like where they're coming from.
Yeah, but he wasn't, his phone was off. So what, like,
I get it. I get they're making an estimation, but you asked to track how it would connect.
Yeah, but I mean like the bottom part, because there is no data from him going from Pullman to Moscow. There's only once he's in Moscow.
But they're saying there is.
No, they're not.
Yeah, we're waiting on cell phone data to come back to show where he was. Absolutely, they are saying that.
Okay, the cell phone comes back. So at 2:47, the phone turns off.
Yep.
At 4 is when it turns on. So all
Right.
this time between 3:30 or I guess 2:47 to 4:48 a.m. there is no phone data.
Right, for this trip here.
Yeah,
for this trip
for the
here.
night of the murder.
Right.
Yeah.
But there are supposedly 12 passes. Okay.
Yeah,
So
you're right. Okay, so you're talking about it in that respect. Okay, I got you.
so if he would have came down the 270, you would pick up on this water tower
Yep.
cell here, because that connects further out than this one here, right?
Yep.
So he would have connected to this water tower, came over to Main Street if he's going down to King Road down here, and it would have transferred from the water tower connection to this cell tower here, where I would say, okay, that I guess that could be reliable. My big question in that, though, would be him going to King Road or staying on this highway here. This highway here would look exactly the same, the 95. They wouldn't be able to identify the difference between him staying on the 95. And look at this loop. If you're a thinker and you want to go drive and think, this is a pretty awesome loop right here, right?
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I think that this area would be way harder to triangulate, right?
No, this is way easier.
It's
Moscow
easier?
is no triangulation. In Clarkston and Lewiston, I think there are multiple towers, and we can look. We'll go down there and look. But they wouldn't be able to tell the difference between him being here at King Road or here. There would be no difference.
So what about up there? Like here, downtown?
No, I don't believe so. I don't believe so. Because this is one. Oh, so we need to break this thing down into 120 degrees, right? So that's about this. That's about 120 degrees right there. So then you can assume that the next would be here. And then this 120 is not covered. They don't have any bars on this side.
The actual university.
Yeah, well, down towards ASUI and North Kibbe Dome outdoor field. This, for whatever reason, this 120 degrees isn't covered because cell phone towers are all... Did I close that? Cell phone towers are all triangular. All triangular. All of them are triangular. So, except for these. These are the only ones.
What the heck?
They're cactus towers, dude. Yeah, I don't know.
Those are real cell phone towers?
Yeah, but to me, I feel like that would be so much more money to make this than it would be to just put a regular tower up, dude. This is fake too. These are towers. This is just a fake tree with that triangle on the top. But look, this is a good view. See that? All of them are triangular like this. All of them. They all break up into 120 degrees of coverage. So going back here, he would have traveled down here. So I'll zoom out. Right? Where's that loop? There's that loop, right? For right here. So this is the loop that we're looking at right here. And he would have came down here and then got picked up by this tower. This tower would have covered him all the way into, what was that called? Lewiston, or whatever. He probably would have bounced off of this tower, but it could cover him all the way down there. Actually, I don't know if that is... Oh, yeah, it is. Okay, LTE, macro.
What about this one?
Look,
That
No, that's a closed network.
okay. Okay.
Yeah. This is lower A, B, C, D. So that, yeah, that's a closed network. That's that FXO network. So, but look at these towers down here, you guys. Look. That's a closed network. That's not. Dude, if the crime would have happened down here, you would have had coverage to get it. Anywhere right here. This must be big mountains or hills or something. Because
Yeah.
that's not as good a coverage as I was hoping for. But I still think they would have had a better chance down here.
Okay, so now what about traveling back up to Pullman?
Yep, back up to Pullman, right? It would have been... Oh, man. Is it the ad blocker that's doing that? Or am I too far out? Let's see.
Yep, something just popped up and said API limit reached.
Yeah.
What does
hang
that
on.
mean?
I don't know. But I can change my VPN.
All right, let's read some comments for a second then.
Okay, go for it. Yeah, do you guys have any questions? I want to be able to answer questions for you guys on this topic. I feel like if there's one topic I really know, it's either wireless or like sales, communication, marketing, body language type business stuff, the boring stuff.
My chat isn't updating over here. Okay. Finally updated.
Okay, so we got it back, but we'll get caught up on some comments, baby.
Yeah, you're gonna have to scroll up though. So Mike said, look at it compared to ring camera footage from the neighborhood, but do we really have those details? We don't really officially have those details.
Not yet, but what in reference to what though? Because what does the ring cam footage have to do with the wireless? Like help me understand that connection. Yeah, that's a good comment. Yeah. No, I agree with you. We can do a deep dive into the other evidence too. I just know wireless the best, you guys. I could tell you anything about any of it. Like if you have a question, I know it. I was there over a decade working in the wireless industry, working directly with towers, directly with phones, directly with businesses, and all things wireless connection. I'm really surprised we have people that can look at this case and not question things.
I don't know how either.
Can look at the PCA and be like, oh, they got him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I always suggest people go look at Gilgo. You want to see a rock solid slam dunk case? Go look at the Gilgo evidence. That is slam dunk.
It is.
Rock solid. The defense can remove 2 pieces and they're going to land him. The defense could remove 3 different pieces of evidence and they're going to land him. That evidence is so solid, dude. He is not going to get out of that.
So that's why a lot of countries chose to remove it. Too many mistakes. In Australia, the last was in the 60s. Remove what? Oh, the DP. Okay, that's what you guys are talking about.
Got it. Yeah. I couldn't imagine being innocent and having to go through a DP case, you guys. That is awful. That is so awful to think that when you already have a crime where you have victims that should have never been victims, should have never, ever. I mean, they were on the path to success, doing all the right things, setting up careers, going through school, completing college, reaching out and working with other companies and businesses to land a career, going to travel in other areas of the world to get some experience and everything before they start really focusing in on their career. Just doing everything right, it seemed like. And then to have that cut short, like, man.
So Regina said she thinks they have him on camera all the way. She's seen it done before. Joey said she didn't think so. There was no number plate seen. And then Regina said there are 5 cameras just for traffic on my street and the street over. I don't think Moscow's like that, Regina, or else I don't feel like they would be using all the other types of footage we've been hearing about. We haven't heard anything about traffic cams.
Yeah.
I haven't heard anything about a traffic cam at all.
No. But also, I don't think the traffic cams would help in this situation. If I was the defense, I would ask for that. But there's probably, if there is traffic cams, there's probably traffic cams on Main Street or on the really heavy traffic areas, and not on down the smaller streets like King. Definitely not where the sororities and fraternities are. And I would just be shocked. I would be surprised. So I guess the only way they would be able to see that as a usable conviction evidence is if they had a traffic cam off of Main Street right where you turn to go down to King, and they were able to identify and prove that he made, a left-hand turn or a right-hand turn going towards the house. That would be my only thought. The only other question I would have then is, why are we getting all this leaked footage of crappy pictures then?
Super crappy footage. That's what I'm saying. And yeah, those traffic cams, I have seen myself in them too. I just don't know why that hasn't been brought up then, like, at all, if they have that. And I feel like the defense would have maybe said something.
Yeah.
But maybe not. We'll find out.
Yeah. And also, I go back to...
Oh, look, squirrel. They have towers that look like trees where they live.
That's funny. I think we have a couple around here too. Yeah. In downtown Chicago, it's like all buildings and there's no trees or anything, and that's where they put a tree tower.
Yeah, I mean, really smart people can make dumb mistakes, Joey. But I agree. There's a lot of it just doesn't make sense to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
God T, smart, so dumb, yet so dumb to take his phone with him. Yeah, you leave it at home. That's the first thing you said when we were looking at
literally
this case,
the first.
That's odd to turn off your phone. You don't do what stands out as not normal. You leave the phone at home on.
Absolutely. And that's something that would have been decided beforehand too, is like, I know I'm going to do this because it wasn't just a crime of passion and in the moment, right? Because there was no DNA left behind from what we understand, right? Maybe law enforcement fluked that. I don't know. But if you're planning to do this, wearing all black, you got your kit, you got your blade, you got your things ready to go, I just don't think that you would have forgot to beforehand, before the adrenaline's going in the situation, forgot to not leave your phone.
Yeah. So I saw that Anne said her internet was messing up again, and she's gonna send us an email.
Yeah, I can help.
Could help.
Yeah.
I
definitely can.
I agree that the gag order is ridiculous, and it's what's caused all of this. They should. I think it was a huge mistake.
People just want to know if he's guilty or innocent. And I think law enforcement is making a big mistake by looking at it like there's a whole bunch of people that need him to be innocent, or there's a whole bunch of people that need him to be guilty. But most of the time, most of the content creators I watch and people I see commenting on it and talking about it, they just want to know the details of the case. And I think now more than ever, people are open-minded to him either being guilty or innocent, but they need to see the evidence to back that up.
Michael Little, API limits too many calls to the server. BK's body language, in your opinion, in what situation, Cynthia?
Nice.
It's only a matter of time for you guys are on top. Awesome breakdown of this topic. Many don't understand. Thank you so much, Kate.
Yeah, we appreciate that a lot.
He's the smart one when it comes to tech.
I'm just obsessive. So I will obsess until I figure it out. Literally can't. I get tunnel vision, you guys, and I will not do anything else until I figure it out.
So, right, Isabella, without GPS, they have to rely on triangulation, which they can't do in Moscow.
Correct.
At 1122 King Road and in lots of other areas. They are speculating. And, you know, there's actually an article that came out early on in the case in the Idaho Statesman. Actually, early on, I guess, after we found out about the cell phone tower data. And there was an expert on there saying that if he were the prosecution, he wouldn't even bring this up because they're going to be wrong. That's literally the cell phone tower data. He said they shouldn't even bring it up because they're going to be wrong. That's what he said.
Agreed. I'm telling you, anybody that has any experience into cell phone data can look at this map and tell you 100%, you guys. I'm not guessing. There is only so much coverage. This is a very concrete topic where you can see where the coverage is and understand what the reliability is going to be behind it. They don't even have 3 towers. We'll be lucky if they have 2 towers that a phone is connected to at 1122. Yeah. One of the towers is right on the line. Like, you have less than 5% of coverage on that 120% side of coverage. And then you have another tower that's like miles away, the only real tower with real 360-degree coverage, that is so far away that it's the RTT rate, the round trip time for data going from the phone to the tower is going to be so far that you're more than likely, unless you're there for a really extended period of time, because the longer that you're in a tower's area, the more reliable it gets. And 10 minutes isn't it. I'm talking about like being on a phone for like 30 minutes, you know. That spread of error is going to be too much. It is going to be a difference of a half a mile or something.
Rex is 100% the perp, but not the only one. It's a small group of creeps. I think that's a possibility too, Cynthia. And thanks, Joey. Get a Clue has done so much work on the traffic cams. I'll have to look that up.
Yeah.
Kate, if they had solid evidence such as cams, this case wouldn't be such a hot mess with 7 motions to compel for info. But again, I don't know, just my opinion. And I agree with you, Kate. I really do. And sent the email. I will take a look real quick in just a second. I'm convinced, J-Ray, I'm convinced none of the leaked footage will even be in evidence.
I agree, because it's not good. I think that it's being used to paint an image and convict before trial.
Right, Ian. I think so too, that the prosecution makes their best case possible in the PCA, and people are definitely giving them too much benefit of the doubt that they're going to bring all of this hard-hitting evidence to like really show it's the guy.
Again,
I don't think so.
Compare and contrast with Gilgo, you guys. Look at their arrest warrants. The difference is they gave everything because it's not arguable. The evidence is so concrete. It is not arguable. And that's what we see in most cases, except for here, you know?
If a small tower was overloaded, would the signal get bounced to another
Yes.
tower, although it's not the closest?
Yes, it could. Yep. So towers are constantly doing these calculations in the back end where, let's say there's two towers overlapped, right? And in that overlap, there are 100 devices, but one tower can only hold 70 of them. And they're all 100 people are closer to tower A than they are B, but that tower can only hold 70 of them. So it will decide which ones it can offer that best coverage for, how far away they are and everything, and pick the best 70 that supports that tower, and then move that additional 30 over to the other tower. But that's just for primary signal. You'll still have like a back end, like being able to, both towers will know that your phone is there, is what I'm saying, but it won't have data running through it.
So there was another question. Is cell phone coverage at 1122 King too poor to tell if the survivors and whoever they called were moving around out of the neighborhood that morning up to noontime?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Because that would be incredible, right? Is understanding that, and we were talking about that a little bit earlier too, where like a really good tactic or a really good approach for searching for evidence would be to pull up all the phones that were connected to those towers during that block of time. They would have all the IMEIs. They would be able to connect names to all the IMEIs and cell phone numbers and SIM cards that are connected to that tower. And then they would be able to compare and contrast for, maybe a month later and a month earlier. So December 13th, November 13th, October 13th, and September 13th. And they would look at what lines are there frequently and regularly, maybe the 3 months leading up to November, actually. So have November, October, September, August, and see which phones are there pre-crime, and then pick out all the phones that were there on November 13th that aren't there for all those other months. And then that would at least give you a baseline of people to look into further, not necessarily suspects, but at least enough information to make you ask more questions, right?
So Cynthia was saying, just in general, any body language you see that you feel is consistent in Bryan Kohberger? Have you noticed anything?
I'm not confident reading Kohberger's body language because, so I'm sure you guys have heard me say this before, but when somebody's in a really, really, really stressful situation, I can't get a good read on them. And I read body language. I'm not trained at a school like psychology trained and know the exact terms, but I'm good enough to make a living from it, So when somebody's really stressed out or in an uncomfortable situation, their body language a lot of times isn't going to be their actual uncontrolled subconscious body language that they would normally do. They're going to be stressed out, not looking like how they normally would, and be hyper conscious of everything that they're doing, understanding that every camera's looking at them, every single pair of eyes is on them. And it makes it really hard.
Yeah. And we looked at the body language from like when he was pulled over from before the crime. And what about that? I don't remember what we said about that, actually. What you said about that. His body language getting
when he was pulled over.
Yeah.
I didn't see anything weird from it.
Not driving through Indiana, the one before the crimes.
So when you look at his body language from Indiana and the pullover body cam footage where you have the female officer, I actually think his body language in both of those are consistent. Yes, I do. I think they are consistent, and I think it looks completely normal. I don't see anything that stands out as weird there. I think he's just having a normal conversation with these officers. And what's interesting is there's been a couple professional like psychologists or people that got training for body language reading say that they saw some weird things from Bryan, like he was trying to manipulate the officer with his body language. Dude, no way. I do not agree. I don't agree. But that's, again, going back to the understanding, I'm not trained in that from a school, a university, anything like that. But dude, the body language is approachable, confident, laid back. His shoulders aren't tweaked forward. Like his facial expressions are calm, relaxed. His tone isn't too elevated. Like I didn't see anything.
Yeah.
I didn't see the things that the experts saw. I just didn't. It could be my lack of experience though.
Isabella, I agree. When people see cell phone data or DNA, they tend to think that's like absolute proof without looking at it past a surface level. And then J. Ray said they did that, pulling the IMEIs. They got a list of the numbers connected, probably didn't do it for the other back end or bookend months. Should have, though. You're right.
Man, I just feel like, and you're really good, J. Ray, about pointing out like evidence or gaps in a crime and evidence that should have been looked at. And I agree. I feel like I'm curious how much old school police work, feet on the street type work they did in this case, or if they were overwhelmed, not prepped, experienced, and ready for a case this big, and ran with the first name that they got from someone who called in that had a matching car, made sense in their brain, and then they worked backwards. And we've theorized that from the very beginning, like very, very, very beginning. And I think it still could hold true today that you have a few officers that didn't know what they were doing. And,
Yeah, I see several people saying they think that he's Bryan is very stoic, and then Ian said he thought he'd be someone who had a really good poker face. I think so.
I agree.
Too. Yeah.
Yep. You also got to remember too, his training is around evidence, psychology, and the criminal mind. So he will be able to identify some of these things and like some of the reactions and body language and micro expressions that an officer might be looking for when interviewing a sociopath or a serialist, right? So being conscious of it can also change what you're doing too, and just let me know what Ann said and I can try and give the best rundown.
Okay.
Hey, Cynthia. Welcome.
Squirrel Cam, I just wanted to ask, what about the Snapchat subpoenas? Like, what if you had a question about them or you wanted to talk about them? Like, what about them? And this was a question.
Oh yeah, post it up.
Hey, Cynthia.
What is it? Can the defense independently get cell phone data from cell companies, for instance, to check if JS was on his way to Boise for his Africa trip, or if Ellie didn't do that? No. Unfortunately, I don't think they can do it independently without getting a court order. So the defense would need a court order. Obviously, they wouldn't get a search warrant. But as long as the judge signed off on that, which in my experience, and just a reminder, you guys, I am not a lawyer. I didn't go to school for anything regarding law. But from my understanding, if law enforcement already has that data, the defense couldn't go to the judge and say, hey, I need you to sign off on this so that I can go and get this information from the cell phone companies, even though law enforcement already did it, because we don't trust them and we need this data. You know what I mean? I don't think that he would sign off on it, but maybe. I don't know. There's been a couple private meetings, you know what I mean? So I I don't think so. You can't get some of that information without a court order or a warrant.
Yeah, Snapchat records would be super helpful.
Yeah.
All you said was yes, Squirrel Cam. Okay.
What do you guys think?
Oh, they were saying people were sending Snapchats throughout the students after the crime. Like you're talking about the surviving roommates.
Either that or proof that on Snapchat they were talking about this. Like a ton of people were talking about this between the time of 6 a.m. and the 911 call. I think that would be helpful too, because it drives me up the wall that they didn't investigate that. It drives me up the wall because, dude, that would have given you your suspect right there. Is you just follow that back, okay? We see this group is talking to 10 people. Okay, we need those 10 people's records and phones. And then, okay, so that person told this person, and like, understand that one person talking to 10 people would be 100 people on the next one, and then 1,000 people. Wait, more than 1,000. I think 10,000, right? Yeah, 10,000 people on the next one. So it would go one person to 10 people to 100 people to 10,000 people. Right? Am I doing my math right? Like if you were searching backwards from a law enforcement perspective, and you pulled the Snapchat records, and you're trying to figure out where the first message came from between the times of 6 a.m. and 911 call of the Snapchats and messages being talked about that something happened at 1122, right? Before 911 called. The only person that could have started those messages is the suspect or the roommates, which would have brought questions to the roommate's statement. Otherwise, nobody else knew. There's only a possibility of 3 people or the suspect, whether it's one person or suspects, right?
Yeah.
And then the 2 roommates. All of that information is very important information. So what they should have done is found one person and just tracked it backwards. Would that have been a ton of work? Yeah, but dude, they had the whole FBI force, hundreds of FBI agents doing their investigative crime work for them. All they would have had to do is been like, here, this person has a Snapchat or message saying something happened at 10 a.m. Track that back to the original source. You know what I mean? Why didn't they do that? And then they could have took that original source and then pulled the cell phone data of where they were at. Would that original source have been what they consider within the area on that side of the 120 degrees of that tower? Maybe.
So basically, Anne is having to only use phone internet right now and has 4G, and it was working fine, and can watch the replay just fine, but now it's not until this week. It just started, she just started having problems. They're getting the roof replaced, I guess. She wants to know any information that you need to help. She said let her know so that she can send you that info.
Yes. So one, ask if they're transferring to a metal roof. If they are transferring to a metal roof, and this is a great topic to talk about here too, you guys. So in the video, I think I showed, hang on here, let me pull that video back up. Hang on, I want to bring up the interference picture. Bam. Wait, where is it? There we go. Okay, so interference, right? So we have glass windows can interfere. So ask if it's a metal roof that's getting installed.
Okay. Is there any info you need to help?
Yeah, and then just go into settings and under cellular, turn roaming on and prioritize 4G LTE instead of 5G.
Prioritized for what? 4G
LTE instead of 5G. because 4G is more reliable, 5G is faster, but it will always prioritize 5G over 4G. So when you're not having a reliable connection, you want to bump that down to 4G LTE. So you guys, I thought this was super interesting here. So on our video, we showed a picture of interference with cell phone 2. So this can come into play in that area as well. Now, we don't know if this could impact whatever cell phone coverage, data, information that they could have on site there, but you never know. It could. With a school there, I mean, you have glass windows that affect your cell phone signal. You have 6 inches of concrete affects it quite a bit. Even drywall, solid pine, Venetian plaster, solid wood, totally blocked. And that would be like your copper or certain types of metals. Metal roofs can do that and have issues with it. But yeah. So yes. Yes. It can, depending on your, so have you guys ever downloaded Ookla? Hang on here. Let me see if I can pull it up. Okay. So if you download Ookla, okay, the benefit to Ookla is it will tell you where your cell phone and or internet connection is routed from. Now you could be connected to a server, a main data hub server, which would ask questions like what you're talking about, Rabbit, where around restaurants that you've never been at, things like that. As you can see, ours in Chicago, that is the main server right here. Bam. And that'll tell you where your phone prioritizes out of. Now, that doesn't have anything to do with the cell towers. That could just be the tower you're routed through. So when your cell phone goes from your phone and connects to the tower, it's going to run down the tower or get sent to another nearby tower to a main data hub. From that hub, it is then going to go through the system wherever it needs to go to make the connection, and then back out through another tower into the phone that you're talking to. Now, sometimes, depending on how many satellites are up in the sky and things like that, sometimes it can be routed through a satellite as well. And satellites tend to be much more reliable when you have a direct connection to them. But you got to be able to be connected to a nearby Wi-Fi source with an open signal.
I need a picture of you with your tinfoil hat.
Who, me?
With it curly. All I have is a picture of it with it long, and it makes your head look so
Okay,
tiny.
hold on.
So tiny in the chat. Can you guys see Brendan's tiny little tin hat head?
Here.
Good night, Squirrel Cam.
Oh, I can't even show my whole head. Wait.
Why is it so poofed up at the top?
Because I got a poof head. Here, we'll do it sideways. No, that doesn't work. Okay. It's not going to work.
Thanks for joining tonight, Squirrel Cam.
Yeah, thanks for joining. Good input. I love the questions and suggestions and input.
Did you what are you doing?
I was just going to move it back to this.
Okay. So, did you answer this at all? References?
I don't have.
I don't think Ellie did much. Once they had the DNA, they jumped the gun arresting him because they needed to have someone in custody before the start of school.
Yes.
Figured there would be a treasure trove of evidence. And they did expect that with the car in his apartment. They
Dude, I
really
know.
did. And they did not get it.
I know. And that goes back to one of the questions that we bring up, excuse me, all the time, you guys. And that is, how many people does it take? Okay. It sounds like we're starting a bad joke, right? How many people does it take to create a conspiracy? I don't think it's as much as most people think. When most people think a conspiracy is going on, they think that it's some big grand thing where it's like every police officer and the chiefs and the judges and the DA and the even the officer that's in the courtroom, you know what I mean? And a lot of times it ends up not being that at all. It can be 1, 2, 3 officers that fudge it up, man. How many officers was present when they found the knife sheath? I am not trying to say that that knife sheath isn't real evidence. I think it could be. I think it's just as likely that, you know, there's some big question marks around it. But how many officers were there during that time? Because however many officers were there during that time is however many officers it takes to create a conspiracy in this situation.
Yeah. So
you're right. It's corruption, but I'm saying conspiracy because I think it could only be a couple officers to create a situation that looks like some giant conspiracy going on. Like there are some people out there that
like
believe
Dr.
is
Moore.
going on. Yeah. Even Dr. Moore, that was 4 or 5 officers that messed up this whole thing. I don't think the judge was involved. I don't think the DA was involved. I don't think any of those people were involved. They just inherently take the side of law enforcement because they work under the same umbrella.
They trust police. Police are trained to be like an expert witness. Like they are trained to be good witnesses in court.
Yes.
Rabbit Jack Burns said sometimes I get a message. I covered it. Oh, okay.
Yep.
Then unstar it next time so that we don't do it twice.
Do you know about the Amazon info that just came out?
No. Did you talk about this?
What?
This is about Amazon. Why do cell phone companies release data of individuals, but Amazon
that's so funny.
Release K-bar purchase data.
That's super funny. Amazon did release the K-bar purchase data. The data that they're arguing about right now is the click data. They want to know what people clicked on K-bar. Yeah. Now, okay. So you guys know we love truth and transparency. I think if you're looking for a content creator that digs and digs and is more on the side of sleuthing than like a talk show, interactive talk show in the way that we just different, right? Just and that's okay. But they do amazing work and they dig super far and super deep. Where was I going with this?
Did Truth and Transparency have
So yes. So they came out with a video today talking about the Amazon clicks, and they were like, man, this information looks like they're just reaching, like they are super desperate. And I get that. Like I understand it. And I think it could look like it's reaching and super desperate too. But then I started thinking about the flip side of that equation and thinking, well, what if they have data that comes out on that click report that shows like 10 people were clicking every other day on this K-bar knife multiple times to figure out what knife they wanted to buy at a local place. So then they're redirected to the location of where that could have been bought, not on Amazon. You know what I mean? Like, I think there is something that they could gain from that too. And look, if they haven't found anything in Kohberger's stuff now, I would literally be surprised if they found something here. But At least they're still investigating, I guess.
Yeah.
Which is one concern that we had.
Yeah, Kate said they should not be releasing click data. I don't know how I feel about it, man. Like, does it really matter?
I think it's
that
only
much?
I think
don't
it's only
know.
on the K-bar knife.
Right, it is.
I don't think they're just pulling all the click data from all of those people, but that would be shady. Wow, to be like, hey, I need you to give me all your click data for Bryan Kohberger. Holy cow. I can't imagine what mine is, you know? I look at everything. We've literally pulled up Amazon while we're streaming to look at things like the K-bar.
We have.
You know?
Cynthia said, could it have been one officer? One officer could secretly plant the sheath.
Yeah.
It could have been.
Yeah.
Very well could have been if they had just some vendetta or some, reason. I don't know. Why do people do stuff like that? Like, it's horrible.
Yeah. And could it be cop mistakes? Yes, I think it could be. If it just makes me doubt that, because if it was an honest mistake, they should be able to easily and quickly come out and say, look, a mistake was made. Let me show you how that mistake was made, and there comes the problem of it looking like a dirty cop when they don't come out and correct their mistake. You know what I mean? So what's worse, making an honest mistake and then trying to hide that mistake, or making an intentional lie and just moving forward with that? I feel like they're both equally bad. You know what I mean? No one said anything about the 3 in our Odinite video.
Yeah.
Did you guys catch that?
TNT said the name was redacted on the warrant for click data, which makes me think it was only for BK.
Which that could be shady. That could be shady, you guys. Here, let me show you.
Blow it up. Theater mode. Yep.
Look, in the lower corner, the lower left-hand corner, we put a 3 in this video.
Yeah, right here.
And we're just waiting to see if someone said anything, because we were talking about like Odinism, and Odinites, and nobody said anything. Wait. Okay, yeah.
So Ian said, could it just have easily been the killer who left the knife sheath there as a red herring?
It totally could have. That would have been a well thought out, a definite murder one situation to set somebody up. Absolutely. I think that is a real possibility too. And what you guys, okay. We need to do a video. Actually, let me write this down. I need to write this topic down, because I want to, as you guys know, like, I'm obsessed with statistical data. So statistical data on Bryan Kohberger being set up. All right, so I'm gonna do some research on the statistical data behind the likelihood of Bryan Kohberger being set up. How often do other criminals set people up? Like, is that a realistic percentage that could have happened in this situation? Is it a one-off percentage where it happens very little, barely ever, and we're silly for even looking at that? I don't know. But is it possible? Yeah, I think anything's possible. I think it just comes down to if you have the guts to try it, What do you mean you got me with stats? You like stats too, or?
I think she's saying she's got stats. You mean probability?
Yeah. Yep.
So Cynthia said up here, please look at Mayor Eric Adams in the lodge and what he's up to. This is above crime because these are the forces that make things go one way or the other.
Yeah.
And then J Ray said that she saw that too. And Cynthia said it's not just one officer, but a series. Like the two moms should have never been given the snitch and subsequent bust on all those low-level cartel members. So it had to be covered up.
Yeah, I think it could be. I think it could be because remember, guys, the FBI was already here. I think a lot of people forget that. The FBI was already in town.
They were.
Why? Why?
Yeah,
Here.
Police of the Cuff lost me when he said all the cops stick together, yet we've seen time and time again dirty. I know.
And the sad thing is I think due to where society's at right now, there is a deepened initiative of blue blood again. Like all the cops are starting to expect to have each other's backs in these situations to where it's creating really toxic situations where you might have a cop who did something wrong and the other cops help make that not get out into the public, because we're so connected now.
Jerry said that she's good at stats. Like if you need stats, she's got them.
Oh, good. I love statistics, man. I love it. And I think they are so trustworthy.
Ian said, how many donkeys are there in the world?
One.
One donkey?
Yeah. It's a trick question.
The reason I'm thinking red herring is it seems so weird the killer left no other DNA, no weapons been found. Sheath seems deliberate, especially since DNA wasn't found on the outside of the sheath, despite having just been used by the killer. And I agree with you, Ian. I agree with you. It seems so strange. Yeah. And everybody, like I kept seeing on the news that they kept talking about how, well, he would have wiped it down and just missed underneath the snap because there's like a crevice there. But like, isn't that a very great place to like plant DNA also? Or could it have been it's from that local military surplus store where BK maybe just stopped in one day and was unbuttoning snaps or something, looking at different knives or, looking around. And absolutely. And then the killer wiped it down and Kohberger's DNA was under there. Or maybe this is a person Kohberger knows and touched Kohberger's hand or something and got touch DNA. And then I don't know. Like, I feel like there's just so many ways that you could give reasonable doubt that it's. Yes. I don't know. I don't like it. I don't like that evidence.
Agreed. I agree with you 100%. And I'm also curious how. So here's an interesting thing. So when I think of the possibility of evidence being staged in this situation, right? I try and think about where could that have happened along the way? Because I think most people automatically go to the knife sheath being placed on the body or at the scene, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that that's not the only place it could happen. I think that police could grab this knife sheath and say, oh, we found a knife sheath, already knowing that, or not knowing. Maybe there was no DNA on this knife sheath at all. And after they put the knife sheath into evidence, they got Kohberger's name, felt like, oh, 100%, this is our dude. And then are there ever swabs that are taken on the knife sheath or any other evidence that sit in their glass tubes by themselves with nobody around? You know what I mean? Could they have been like, put it in the glass tube or take one out and put one in? Like, where could it have been manipulated?
Well, I mean, that's why I feel like what Ann Taylor's asking for is incredibly important.
Agreed. Is it ever just sitting waiting to be transferred from the ISP lab where a cop who searched Kohberger's apartment, wiped a Q-tip swab on his pillow and put it in there because they only had a single-use DNA, you guys.
Right.
A single-use DNA,
this
meaning
was not a good sample.
Meaning, did the swab even come from the sheath? Or was there never any DNA on the sheath? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, where could it have happened along the way?
The ISP didn't find it, apparently, and gave it to another lab. And that makes... And the FBI was literally following him. They've admitted to it. The Indiana stops probably were most likely something to do with the FBI. And I've heard experts talk on it. And the FBI was totally watching him. They've admitted to it.
Of course.
So what if...
Which good. They should have.
What if those stops were to get DNA?
But they're recorded. They're recorded. I don't think we can go down that rabbit hole. And I also don't think that it would have been an out-of-state police officer. I think those stops were just to get an understanding of what was going on in the car. I think that the FBI has connections in almost all states, if not all states, where they can reach out to officers that are at different areas and say, hey, I need you to check what's going on in that car for us. They're a suspect of a crime, and where they screwed up is they reached out to multiple officers, okay? And it happened back to back.
What
they wanted was eyes in there.
They wanted to see his hands, is what they were saying. They wanted to know if he had any wounds on his hands. Because when you stab somebody, a lot of people who do that end up with knife cuts on their hands.
Yep.
He didn't have any wounds anywhere on his body, as far as I know.
Which K-bar would prevent that from happening, and why that's so important in the Northwest slasher information and video that we put out is a lot of knife crimes, when there's a break-in, happen with like kitchen knives. Those are going to cut your hands. There is no hand guard there to stop your hand from slipping when body fluids start flowing. And sorry if that's graphic,
or even if you hit a bone, or like you hit something hard, you know, like your hands.
But I mean body fluid, because that creates a super slippery material. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
And a lot of times your hand slips doing that motion and you cut yourself.
Yep.
You have self-inflicting wounds from knives that are not made for that purpose, like a K-bar with a hand guard.
And Kate, that's very true. Basically saying the DNA could have transferred to other students' papers, and it could be somebody from WSU. Totally.
Yeah, it would be harder to do though, in that situation, because I don't think it would be reliable to take a paper and like rub the paper on the knife sheath, and that would be reliable as having, because remember, we were told that it was a single-use DNA, meaning they somehow got DNA on the swab, on the sample from that knife sheath, but it was nowhere else. So it was nowhere else. That's interesting.
They had the keys to his apartment. No need to hunt him down in Indiana. From what I saw, I saw like some kind of official. I'll dig it up, J. Ray. But I saw something official that said the FBI were watching for him, and they wanted to get eyes on his hands and his car.
Yeah.
I definitely saw something that seemed legitimate.
Yeah, when you look at that footage, dude,
I don't remember right now. I'm sorry.
I don't know if you were on the stream with us that night, J. Ray, when we watched that footage in detail. But dude, he wasn't breaking any crime. He was literally 100 feet away from the car in front of him, and one of the footages shows that he was so far away from the truck, and they lit him up after being next to him, probably looking in his car to see what's going on, pulled behind him, lit him up, and then went over there, and it was back to back. Dude, coincidentally, like statistically, no way.
Yeah.
No way.
I don't think so either. Do they routinely test the inside of like sheaths for animal DNA to see if it had been used for hunting? That's a good question. I don't know the answer to that. If anybody in the
Excellent
chat,
question.
if anybody in the chat knows that, please answer it because I'm curious.
That could create a connection, right?
Yeah, it could.
Because you could find out if there's animal DNA in there, or if that's even been used for hunting. Maybe this knife was bought with the intention of crime only. So if there's animal DNA in there, then they could look for suspects that went hunting in the last 12 months for deer, elk, whatever. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Hey, Bryan. Two favorite newbies.
Yes.
Welcome tonight, Bryan. Hope you're doing well. Yeah. Is it disturbingly informed? I don't know.
Wait, on what?
Stabbing people?
Oh,
Ian.
that's super funny.
You meant transferred by accident, Kate? Yeah. It totally could. I think that's very possible.
What?
That DNA could have been transferred by accident.
Yeah, I think it could be intentional or accidental. I think there are endless amount of possibilities. I just think what is a questionable situation is the fact that there's only one single use DNA. One.
So Jerry said, if he was a suspected fleeing quadruple murderer driving across the country, no freaking way are they going to send a lone officer out in the middle of nowhere to check if he has cuts a month later. It's a single source DNA.
I think they wanted to get eyes in his car because they wanted to know if he was fleeing or not too. I think there's a lot of questions that could be asked, right? Because no way in that time so if police is telling a half-truth here, okay, that they only knew about Kohberger for 10 days, that in 10 days they wouldn't have had enough time to get a warrant to be listening in on his calls and be able to confirm that this guy is just going home for the holidays, right? His dad flew out, he's just going home. They wanted to pull him over and see, yo, our suspect is on the move and it looks like he's going out of town. Is he running? Does he know that we know? So they pulled him over, ask him, hey, where you going? What's going on? Maybe they had their gun unclipped on their hip. You know what I mean? Like there's ways to do it where I think that police would feel comfortable. Now, obviously, there's no way to know for sure, but statistically, no way are you getting pulled over, because you got to remember too, it's not like he was driving with two cars, you guys, and they knew each other. So like he's driving really close to the bumper of the other so that you can drive one in front of the other. He got pulled over, first one behind a van, and then the second one behind a truck, two separate vehicles, using literally the oldest police pullover trick ever, because there is no way to prove it. That one officer probably shouldn't have turned on his dash cam when he did, because it proves that Bryan was not breaking the law. So then we have to ask the question, then why did he get pulled over? Why did he get pulled over?
Yeah. So Jerry's saying she disagrees. So what do you think the reasoning for that is? Like literally just a coincidence that he got pulled over twice in a row and he wasn't, like, in the video in the dash cam, it's so clear he wasn't following close.
Yeah.
So Ian said, plot twist, the actual killer turns out to be an undergrad student who set up BK after getting a bad grade on a paper. It's scary business being a teaching assistant.
That would be so terrifying. Talk about a sociopath. Somebody that could do something like that. Whew. Jeez.
So they say, for instance, if he was the DD driver, a cop picked up DD bag, he could realistically then put BK DNA on sheath when they picked it up. Okay, so a cop accidentally
like an accidental transfer of
contamination
DNA.
Of evidence. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
I do. And trust me, you guys, like we try really hard to side with police, but I think in order to give a realistic, clear, fair example of a situation. Like, it's important to look at the coin on both sides. I think it's equally important to look at the more what we call tin hat theories, which doesn't mean they're wrong, doesn't mean they're impossible, it doesn't mean they're crazy, it doesn't mean anything like that. It's just society perceives them as tin hat theories, being conspiracy or intentionally lying, hiding evidence, manipulating these dishonest tactics, or looking at the flip side of the coin, which is like the mainstream news story. And in our experience, it ends up like landing somewhere in between those two. And I feel like you get a better understanding and better overview of any case and situation by looking at both of those. You know what I mean?
If anyone wanted to know, J.R. said there's roughly 50 million donkeys in the world.
No way.
How
many? So what's the percentage of donkey per human?
So you still disagree. To be honest, I do think that when the coincidence is highly suspect, but it is possible. It is possible, clearly, that we're wrong. But I just, it's too much of a coincidence for me personally. And yes, he seems to be the most unlucky person in the world at this point.
Right.
So we don't know, Rabbit, if he knew Kopaka. It's odd that they lived in Pennsylvania 10 minutes from each other, and then in Washington 10 minutes from each other in the same time frames. But we don't know.
No.
And all the information on Kopaka is still sealed because it's pending investigation. Hey, Miss Kelly.
Yeah, and that's a good highlight J-Rays. That is a good possibility. The one and only thing I would say with that is I've literally driven on that road, I don't know,
so many times. I have to
25 times a year. And out of all of those 25 times,
always
with different state plates, I've never gotten pulled over, not one time.
Not a single time.
And like, dude, I've driven by cops and I was going like 95 on that road. And because it's so dead out there, there is nothing out there. It is all just fields, open fields and farmland that they kind of leave you alone. As long as you're not obstructing traffic or causing issues, they kind of leave you alone.
Yeah, that's right, Brian. Yeah, we looked at it on Google Maps. I looked up the addresses and I found that out like several months ago.
It's 15 minutes.
It's we looked that up. We looked up the miles and everything. That's I forget the name of the channel right now.
Oh.
But it's a channel.
Well, check out Rory, you guys, if you're curious about that.
Yeah, it's Thou Shall Not Kill. True crime.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ian, y'all should have a side channel, Tin Hat Theories, with YouTube shorts, clip segments on some of the more out there stuff. That's a great idea.
And just go straight tin hat, like as far as you could go. As
far as you can go.
That would be funny.
Critical thinkers aren't always conspiracy theorists. That's right, Miss Kelly.
Yeah.
So true.
Agreed.
I tend to agree with you, Cynthia. I think that honestly, there's a few people that get encouraged, like especially in schools. They take the gifted kids out and encourage them to think critically, but then all the rest are just left with like the basics. Because like when I was a kid, I was pulled out and literally put into a critical thinking class in like 5th grade. Why isn't everybody being taught that? Like, I feel like everybody should be taught that, especially the people who aren't gifted, because the people who are going to already do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I do. I get it.
I don't think that's true, but you're not annoying. But I thought Brent's friend said he never lived in Pennsylvania. Interesting. So I can't remember where we saw that.
Yeah, so
I can't remember. So you could be right.
So the connection between Brent and Kohberger is what people were trying to make, okay, was that Brent could have took part of Bryan Kohberger's suggestion, or not suggestion, his test. He was doing a test on people who have been involved in crimes or ending people's lives, which ended up being a lot of military people. I forget what he called that. What he called that he was doing. It was for one of his courses, maybe his master's or something like that. I don't remember. I need to pull up those details again. But people theorize that he made a connection with Kopaka through that, because Kopaka would have fit that outline or MO that he was looking for of people to talk to. And then what was interesting was that they both moved across the US together. So I don't think there's any question whether they both lived in Pennsylvania and both in Washington. They both did, for sure. It's just whether that's coincidence or not. And I think that's one of those things. It could be a coincidence. But who knows? Who knows?
So hi, Bon Bon. I just saw you in the chat. We do need a fact check emoji for J-Ray. That's a great idea.
That is.
And thanks, Bon Bon. I appreciate it. This is a funny comment. Is the Tim hat considered 1G?
Yeah.
And no, Ian, contrary to what you thought as a kid, they were not for the kids that were behind the critical thinking classes. That's super funny.
They were.
Good point. The segregated minds, Title I kids would get pulled out of class to attend a help class, and other kids made to feel left out or not smart was so strange to me. It's strange to me still, and they still do it, unfortunately.
I don't remember how long he lived in Washington. I know he lived in Chicago and then moved and then went in the service. I think got out and moved to Pennsylvania and then moved to Washington. And when he lived in PA, I believe gosh, I don't remember which is which, but one of the places he lived with a whole bunch of military buddies, and in the other, he lived with family. And I don't remember which is which, but it's one in the other. And I think it was confirmed. A lot of people just don't like talking about the Kopaka stuff. So we haven't dug into it and like created a video on it or anything yet. I'm hoping to wait until they close the case so that we can get actual factual details around the guy without having to create so much theory, because we don't want to point fingers where it doesn't make sense, you know? And I think that there are some really interesting questions there around Kopaka, but I personally would like to have something around the situation to back it up, you know? Some questions around it to back it up.
Yeah, I think Drip Drop is the source, J-Ray. I think you're right. So he did live in Pennsylvania for 7 to 8 years?
No, Drip Drop.
Or just from
Drip
Illinois?
Drop wasn't my source. So Reddit, whichever Reddit has 20,000 members. The Bryan Kohberger one that has 20,000. There's like 3 big ones. It's the one that has 20,000. I think it's like the middle-sized one.
Okay. He lived in Washington for 7 to 8 years. Okay.
We never finished this. Yes, Washington. I think. I'm not sure about the years. I didn't check that portion. But that would be really good evidence, because if he lived in Washington for 7 to 8 years, then that would have put him living with Kohberger at 20 years old in PA. Yeah, no, not Moscow Murders. Maybe it's either Idaho 4 or Bryan Kohberger.
Brittany said can't hear anything. I think everybody else can hear, right? Are we good?
Everyone can hear?
Thanks, Kate, for that information on Title I. I know me as a kid, it was definitely for the gifted kids. That's interesting.
Okay, look, this is super interesting. So, 448, going back to where we were at in this, right? And we were connecting Kohberger's path, okay? His supposed path based on the cell phone towers that he would have been connected to. So we've already covered his starting in Pullman, getting on the 270, driving into Moscow. And remember, the reason why we're covering this is I know that this map is his expected route on the day of the ending, but they're claiming that he was there 13 or 12 other times, and they're trying to say that he drove by the 1122 house. Well, we've already proved that's not possible, literally impossible. So if Bryan Kohberger would have been on Main Street eating food, they could not tell the difference between him being on Main Street and him being at 1122. The variance of error in that is too big. It is too big. And that isn't very far away. The difference, depending on whether he's 900 feet from the tower or 1800 feet from the tower, could mean, the difference of tracking him down to 3 to 7 football fields, which isn't accurate, dude. When you think of 7 football fields, you guys, like, that is huge. That's massive. Imagine coming to court as an attorney and being like, hey, judge, we know he was at that house, but like, he was there, but he was within 7 football fields of being there. What?
Yeah, that's not there.
No, you have no idea where
Just
he was,
state the
except in a
obvious.
general area.
Yeah.
Like, you're saying that you believe he was within a quarter mile or half mile of a house. Okay, well, that half mile could have included Main Street, could have included where he shopped for vegan food, could have included a ton of different stores or whatever, So during this day, his phone was off. So we've tracked him down to 3, right? And then we are at 4 here. So at 4, here's Blaine. And what's interesting is 4 is right by this tower, you guys, that we've looked at a few different times now. Bam. This tower right here, okay? So he could have been driving down here, but another interesting thing. Where was that? They show him off the map, right?
Okay.
I don't know if that's intentional or if they're just saying that they don't know where the heck he's at because he's only connected to one tower.
What did number 4 say? Is that where they first picked him up?
Number 4 is the cell phone comes back online and pings at Blaine near US Highway 95. Okay, so going back to this. Wait, is this the wrong? No, that is the right one. Okay, so that could have put him anywhere down here. But one thing that I was curious about, where's Blaine?
Does it even say the name?
Here's Zietler, Cameron, Paradise
To make it so
Ridge,
tiny.
Cameron. What's this?
Well, who knows?
Yeah. I'm curious what this is where a lot of people are seen congregating. This must be something like interesting right here that a lot of cell phones pull off. Or maybe it's a rest stop or something. I'm not sure. But Blaine, where are you at? Baker. Yeah, okay,
No, there's
Blaine.
Blaine.
Right here. All right. So seen near Blaine Road. Gotcha.
Are they thinking that's where he disposed of the knife sheath? Like maybe he got off the interstate, drove towards Blaine, and then like dumped the knife sheath?
I don't know. If I had to guess, I would check the creek, though. That would be my number one check. Is the creek or this creek over here, I think water sources are the best place to put something because it deteriorates a lot of that evidence that could be on there. But what's interesting is whether he's on Blaine, right? And gosh, I wish I knew wait, does this tell me the feet? No, this tells me the height of the interference. So this mountain is 2,928 feet above sea level. Okay. But this is right on top of Paradise Ridge. So that,
Yep.
okay. Where he's at on this map, being covered by one single tower, you guys. So and it doesn't say he's on Blaine. It says he's near Blaine.
Yeah.
So technically, it
That's
kind
where
of
the
looks
creek
like
ran, isn't it?
no, Blaine is the road, but technically, it
Oh.
looks like he's in between that. If they had detailed information, which they don't. So understand, I'm saying that understanding that I know they don't have detailed information. So
Yep.
yeah, I think it's very likely that he was just on this road. Honestly, I really do.
If you guys just joined and you didn't see the premiere of the cell phone tower data that we just did, Brendan really breaks it down, and it's really good. So after the stream, you guys should definitely go watch it.
Yeah, here. I'll pull that up just as a reminder to. Okay. So going back to the cell phone data here. Number 5, actually we should have. So number 5, they're saying the cell phone pings near Genesee, then Uniontown. Okay, so I have not looked at this, but I'm gonna make a guess based on my experience, and then we're gonna figure out if I'm right. Okay. He's only under one tower here, you guys, which means they cannot identify where he's at. We've already determined that with 3 overlapping towers, the reliability of triangulation is between 60 and 80% success, efficacy, okay, efficiency. So when you're under one tower, I'm saying that the efficiency is going to be like 33.33333%. And that's only because you're going to be able to identify what side of the triangle tower, cell phone tower, watch, someone's going to say that I'm like,
oh gosh. Out of context clip, Ian.
Right.
Out of context.
So all cell phone towers are triangles. Okay. So they're only going to know what side you're on, and a rough understanding of how good the signal was. So could things help them? Like, could he have driven past something that interfered with his cell phone signal so they would be able to pick up the strength, have the strength go weak, and then pick it back up again? And that gives them a better understanding. Maybe that's possible. I don't know. It depends on how good their experts are at looking at this data with the correlating map of the area. But my guesstimate here, sorry for that long-windedness, is when he traveled from spot 4 here, okay, to 5, they don't actually know where he is. He's switching towers. And I have not looked. I swear I have not looked.
What's interesting is it says the cell phone pings near Genesee, then Uniontown. So all that time between Genesee and Uniontown, it sounds like it's kind of all over the place. Like they don't really know.
That's why I'm saying, and I'm telling you, I haven't looked yet, you guys. I have not looked, but I can almost guarantee you, with the lack of reliability of one tower, is he is switching from one tower, the tower that's up by Blaine, to one of the towers that's closer to Lewistown or Clarkston. Watch, let's check.
Hey, Joanne.
Hopefully I don't have to eat my shoe here.
You did get one question. Cynthia asked, do you mean the survey?
Yes, I did mean the survey. Yep. In relation to Kopaka, yeah. Okay, look, you guys.
Hey, Tony.
Isn't that funny? And I did not know that before I clicked over. I had no idea. But they're saying they picked him up right here, right by Genesee. Okay, so where does this coverage end? Let's look. Bro, give me your coverage. Interesting. Right.
Switching towers.
Yes, switching towers. So they have no idea where he's
So
at.
now what
All they
about-
know is he's switching towers.
What
That's
about
it.
So it says it's Genesee, then Uniontown. So like,
So he probably switched to this one.
okay, what covers Uniontown though?
I don't know.
Which
Where
is right.
Union?
Zoom back out. I saw it. Wait, I can't read that.
Yeah, this is Uniontown. Okay. So it could be.
Oh, he switched to this tower because that covers that part of the interstate.
It could be. I mean, so does this.
You know, maybe he never even went down here. Maybe he cut through this little county road right here. Because it said Genesee, then Uniontown. So that night
they would be able to tell if he came down here with all these towers.
He didn't ping down there. He pinged
ever?
Not that night.
Are you sure?
Yeah,
8 and 9?
Because this is the next day. This jump.
Okay.
So he pings near Genesee, then Uniontown. So he probably went from here to here.
Oh, gotcha.
And he's just pinging off all these towers.
Got it.
I guarantee that's why they show that white line.
You're right. 100%. Totally. 100%. That's absolutely it. Now that I'm looking at that. But that's interesting that he pings here, and they have no idea because look, these towers are not overlapping very well. Look at that.
No, they're not.
Not really well. This one does a little.
So he probably went from this tower to this tower.
Yep, and took what?
The two big ones.
Where
not
is
those
that
little
road?
ones. I don't know. Those are too tiny. I can't really tell anything.
Are these like nice motorcycle roads, you know, that you take on a motorcycle?
Well, Nancy Grace apparently went out there and drove the route they claim that BK drove, and in winter, and she's like, there's no way, like, it's so hard to drive those streets like in the snow. Like,
really?
It was so funny. It was so dumb.
I wonder what she was driving
A young
with.
man in college in a sedan, like in a car,
Hey,
is
Joanne.
gonna have fun driving on those roads.
Welcome. Yeah, I mean, it could be, but his car's front wheel drive, which I think front wheel drive is easier in the snow, in my opinion. But
J Ray wants to know if you can make it bigger. Like,
which
you
one?
just mean zoom in more. It's the text is so tiny. Everything's so tiny on this map. It's so annoying.
I know. Yes. So the only thing is you're not going to be able to get a good gauge of the map doing that. So what we need to see is this route right here. This route, and then see where these towers are covering. So driving down this through here somewhere, he just pings off of this. 1, 2, 3.
Also,
that's my guess, is he started coming down here and pinged 1, 2, 3. That's what I guess. And funny that they say that and word it in that way, because they would not be able to triangulate. They would have no idea to pinpoint where he's at. All they're doing is making a best estimation on the amount of time it took for him to get from connecting from this tower here by Blaine to this tower here down at Genesee, and then this tower here that's over by Uniontown and Colton. So he pings driving this route, bam, down here, bam, down here, bam. And it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
Maybe. I'm curious what even classifies a cell phone expert, because, like, are they looking for somebody that just knows how to read data? Are they looking for somebody that just has been in the industry like a decade like I have? Are they looking for somebody that, you know what I mean? Because I feel like there's a lot of different positions that could be an expert in this situation, but what are they specifically looking for? If I was the prosecution, I would probably get someone more resembling me than an expert, because the more expert you go, the worse it's going to look for them.
Yeah.
So
but
understanding that 5G, he's too far from every tower, every single one of them, and that's the most reliable. He probably only has the ability to track on 3G, which is such a long wavelength, you guys, like so long of a wave. Here, real quick.
Okay. I just wanted to point something out on that.
Hang on. Look at the difference in wavelength. The longer it is,
Switch it to theater.
oh,
So it's bigger.
Sorry. The longer it is, the more feet of error it is. And then, so this is going to be your 3G like wave. This is 5G, but this is going to be like 4G LTE, and this is going to be 5G. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So the tighter it gets, the
Yep.
less room for error.
Correct. Correct.
Can you go back to the map?
Yes.
Yeah. So look how general it is right here. Between 9:12 a.m. and 9:21 a.m., it connects with cellular resources that provide coverage to the area where King Road Residence is located.
They're probably
So-
talking about the mini tower.
So they are saying his phone pinged in Moscow, but not at the residence, because they can't tell us that.
Right.
You got to
Exactly.
read between the lines.
Agreed. So it's just as important what words aren't in a statement
And they
as
get-
it is what words are.
And then they get super specific on 8. So, 7, okay, 9:32, he's back at his home. 8 at noon, 12:30, he's at Kate's Cup of Joe coffee stand. He's near there. And then they have surveillance
That's
footage.
why they can say that,
Yeah.
because they have surveillance.
And then Albertsons, then surveillance footage. Like, everything gets super specific down here, and they know exactly where he's at. But everything before this is so general.
Yeah, and
1 through 6 are mega, or through 7 even mega general.
I'm glad you pointed that out with 8 and 9 and the surveillance footage, because so many people say, look, they've got to have video of him there. Otherwise, it wouldn't make sense that they charged him, that they picked him up, that they arrested this guy. But when we look at statements and documents like this, they very clearly talk about surveillance right here in 8 and 9. So why would they talk about it here and not here if they had it?
Yeah, they do say on 5. So it pings near Genesee, then Uniontown, finally pulls into Pullman between 5:25 a.m. and 5:27. The white sedan is recorded by 5 cameras in Pullman on the WSU campus. So
Right.
It sounds like Pullman has the traffic cams. I think it was Regina who was saying earlier that she has a lot of those in her town.
No,
But
5 cameras. That could be
That's
the
what
gas station cameras. That could be a traffic camera. That could be a ring camera. That could
could
be
be.
anything.
It could be, but that's what I'm assuming, because it's recorded by 5 cameras.
What if you have no apps running, not using your phone? Would your yes.
Would your phone still hit a tower?
It would.
Yes, it
Yep.
would. Yep.
It would, Bon. Yeah, there's no way. So even when everything's closed, right? No background apps running, you have all those settings turned off and everything. You're still gonna have service. You can still look at your phone and open it and see that you have some sort of connection there.
Yeah, that is why they had to do the alibi, Brian. Because they know he was out that night. They know he was, because, I mean, but that's interesting, because I feel like it's so specific when you get to Pullman and everything, but then in Moscow, it's just, there's not much, where that's where the most evidence should be to connect him to the crime.
So yes, you're right, Cynthia. But one interesting thing is an expert only knows what their opinion is. So
They have to prove intent.
it makes it easy to have a different opinion. And that's why we see multiple experts being used, where the prosecution will have their expert, the defense will have their expert, and it will be on the same topic, because one expert's opinion is going to align better with the prosecution, and one expert's opinion is going to align better with the defense. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, how many experts can stretch the truth, can manipulate words without lying? I'm sure all of them, you know. Me being in sales, that's like the whole point of sales, is to highlight the important parts, the things that are going to benefit the customer, and minimize the not so great benefits, or the not so great things that are going to impact the customer.
Oh, Bon, you asked that question several times. Sorry, we were just looking into the info.
Sorry.
But I hope you got your answer. I was trying not. I don't know.
What? All right,
Here. So why is someone who knows this type of information on a forensic level even mess with his phone? Because Cynthia said several times that he was like an IT guy. Max, he would never have a burner phone. This man is not stupid, and all I think he was over it in gaming. I'm not sure what the end of that meant. Sorry, Cynthia.
Yeah. Again, if he was going to do a crime, right, and he was a tech specialist, that is a very good call out. He would know better. He would know better in this situation, I think. Unless he was going for more technical, less police, maybe. So he had a heavy focus on cloud-based evidence reporting and things of that nature, where he might not know this exact thing. I don't know. I think that it could go either way, but I just know that there's no way they're going to have good cell phone data. No way. Not possible with this layout. It is not possible.
So I saw you guys talking about the shovel in the trunk, and Joanne said in Utah, everybody has shovels in their trunk.
Yeah.
And Bon said she keeps a broom in her trunk, and I thought that was brilliant. Yeah. I'm going to put a broom in my trunk.
Yeah.
I hate getting my hands cold, like getting snow off with the stupid little thing.
For sure. It's awful. It's awful. But yeah, if you have a Wi-Fi connection, the difference in cell phone triangulation versus GPS tracking is triangulation is like 60 to 80% efficient, and GPS is 90. But your phone's got to be on to be GPSed through satellites.
Cops reported seeing him driving all over the place for months. Interesting. And Mike, yeah, I think DNA on a murder weapon's enough for probably, I don't know. With touch DNA, I don't know if it is enough.
Yeah.
I think it's enough to investigate and get, like, not an arrest warrant. Direct DNA, yes.
Oh, it's enough for an arrest warrant, I think.
No, direct DNA, yes. Yeah. Touch DNA, no. I think it's enough for a search warrant.
Oh. I mean, yeah.
Touch DNA.
No, I know what you're saying. I get it, but DNA based on social perception is a big deal. Yeah. Whether it's touch DNA, whether it's direct. And the people in this case have done a very good job about making it sound like it's just DNA. Right. Not explaining the difference between touch DNA and direct DNA. Those are two very different things. And there's a reason why military courts don't allow touch DNA in their court system, because of its unreliability.
What's interesting is the mention of "we believe it to be" that if a white Elantra and needed FBI expert to assist in the years and changed the years of the vehicle. They don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's super interesting. Cloud forensics, yes. And again, I think that he would have just left his phone at home on, you guys.
Yep, cloud forensics. Hey, Kimberly.
Yes,
so
hello, and we appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem being off topic. We appreciate it.
Yeah, we really appreciate it. Right,
Yeah.
the sheath didn't murder anyone.
Right, Joanne.
Yes. And I think that touch DNA can be explained away super easily, you guys. And I think that the prosecution knows that.
Sure,
And
Mike.
that's why they didn't want to bring it into court. And you're right, Mike. That's what I'm saying too, is that
Yeah,
trace DNA is still considered DNA.
Sure, yeah.
So until you've like heavily looked into the topic and understand that most court systems don't allow touch DNA to be used as evidence, DNA is DNA. Like it has placed your DNA at the scene for something. If it's direct DNA, dude, I would have believed that he's the guy all day long, no matter what's going on. If they found like blood, spit, tears, an eyebrow hair, you know, because he didn't tape his eyebrows, or whatever. But touch DNA, understanding how easily it can be transferred from one to another, you know, or I could wipe my fit. I could just send you this shirt and now my DNA is all over your house. You know what I mean?
And right, Ian, touch DNA on an accessory for something we don't even know was the murder weapon. Like, can we even confirm the K-bar was even in the house? Yeah, I agree. And Joanne said, actually, it's environmental transfer DNA.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, thanks, Joanne. Bryan said, your phone cannot transmit one thing. He deliberately turned his phone off and was found when he wanted back on, and he was found when he wanted it to be seen. Interesting, Bryan. I like that comment. Yeah.
It's possible.
Touch DNA can come from anywhere. That is right.
Literally anywhere.
Yeah. Oh, according to Steve Mercer, that's where you got that information, Joanne. That's nice. Hey, Amanda.
Oh. Jeez.
I watched one channel with WSU mom Kim. She told one true crime that one victim had a missing. Oh.
Yeah, I've actually heard that before.
Oh. A lot of people really don't believe her. They think like apparently she's a catfish. I don't know what the truth is 100%. I honestly haven't dug into the evidence that she's a catfish because some people have claimed to prove it.
Yeah.
I haven't dug into it, but that's crazy, Kimberly.
Yeah, it's wild. The only thing I would say with that is we want some sort of evidentiary proof to back a theory here, right? And at least for us to talk about it. No, well, not talk about it. At least for us to buy into it to where we're going to dig more and try and find out more about it. Now, when it comes to that information, while I'll bring it up all day long, but I just don't see any evidence there of that without having
might be accurate
something, anything, you know, comments that police have made, comments that the what's her face, the older lady, the autopsy person, the coroner made.
Mabbitt.
Yes. And we don't see any of those things, so it makes it really hard for me to hop on board with that theory when we don't see nothing. I haven't seen anything that could support that information. What was the one thing that you showed about?
So would that be part of the Odin theory? Because the rumor was that Xana was pregnant and they were missing body parts. So
I
don't know. I mean, the girls in Delphi weren't missing anything,
at least from what we
know.
yeah.
So I don't know
Dude.
about that, Amanda. But that, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Amanda Knox's false conviction, which was overturned. Touch DNA was instrumental in that.
Yep. Absolutely.
That's a good point, Ian.
It's kind of scary. I think they're like trying to close as many cases as they can right now, because if I was law enforcement, I would be looking at this thinking there's no way we're going to keep being allowed to do this. There's no way.
Yeah. So Mike, that's a good comment. Yeah. Saying he had no connection and then explaining the trace DNA in court, that's going to be a task. You're right.
It will. It will be.
And no, I don't think Bryan's stupid at all, Cynthia. I think you're totally right.
Yeah.
Learn Discord, Bryan, and you can do it with me and J Ray and Amanda, because we're all trying to learn it too. J Ray, if you say she's a catfish, and Miss Kelly, I know a lot of people think that. I need to see the information. I didn't really look into it. So Joanne, yeah, I agree about her at first. I believed her, but now things are coming out about things. Yeah. I've seen a few. Yeah, Mike. Yeah, everyone's saying she's a fraud. I believe you guys. Because it's too good to be true. Yeah. WSU Kim is too good to be true.
I agree.
It felt too good to be true from the beginning.
I agree. I think that, yeah.
Yeah, Ian, I think they would have talked about a beheading from the beginning too. To
show
absolutely. How
absolutely.
horrific this crime was. I think they would have.
I think there's a couple reasons we see that information coming out slowly is one, I think there are a group of people out there that have this idea that it was done with a machete, okay? And we've unfortunately seen all kinds of videos where machetes have been used to dehead somebody, you know? So I think that would help sell that point. And I don't know why people want to believe like so intently that it was a machete, maybe because of the picture with Dylan and the machete. I'm not sure, but I personally think that a K-bar knife is a better murder weapon than a machete is, because of the size, because of the hand guard, because of the serrated on the end. I think it's literally made for ending things.
Well, so I just saw that Miss Kelly said that she contacted the FBI. WS Kim contacted the FBI with the info she heard, and that's it. And you don't believe anything else she says. If she contacted the FBI, that's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
I mean,
but again, that doesn't make it true, because she contacted the FBI.
And so can defense use cell data that the prosecution says is at the murder house and send out a respective person, say a retired FBI person, and show that the same exact data from his phone could be far away?
Wait, what? Hold on, leave it. Yeah. So can defense use cell data that prosecution says is at the murder house and send out a respected person's?
Like disproving?
No.
Why?
No, because there's too many factors that are going on there. So I guess if you put them in the same exact place with the same exact settings, the only thing is when you look at cell phone tower data, you're going to be able to see the strength of the phone with that tower, which can alter where its RTT is, or round trip time that it's communicating with these other towers. Now, in this situation, there's only a potential of 2 towers covering a cell phone at the 1122 house. So you already wouldn't have had a good example to begin with. I theorized that they would only be able to get his estimated location down to like 6 football fields. Okay. So like what, between 9 and 1,200 feet, which is what, a quarter mile or whatever, a third of a mile. So within that area, they could recreate something like that, but without being able to actually triangulate a location of where they're at. I don't feel like they could do that.
Yeah. Makes sense. I know, Amanda.
They're super funny.
They are funny. Ian's posts on Discord are great.
They are.
She had multiple accounts, Joanne. Okay. Troll
Yeah.
accounts. Well, doesn't look so good. I did see Bryan say that Drunk Turkey Show, it looked like WSU Kim got multiple callbacks from the FBI, and then Drunk Turkey Show, the guy from that, called back that number, and it was an FBI agent. He confirmed that. So, but she could be giving false information to the FBI.
Yes,
so, I mean,
she absolutely could. I think that statements are all good and everything, right? But I think any statement should be used as a carrot. Even this one, you guys. I get that I'm saying that I have a decade of cell phone experience under my belt, but don't take my word for it. You know, go check and see if what I'm saying is true. So in that situation with WSU, whatever she says should never be taken as the truth. There needs to be some sort of verification. So in order to do that, you got to try and debunk some of the things she's saying. So could somebody go out of their way to make it look like that they had called the FBI with this information and the FBI is interested and they call me back? Sure, I could think of a couple. Calling an FBI agent and saying, hey, I have some really important information for you. Click. Okay, that FBI agent would call me back and I could say, hey, I'm having cell phone issues. Sorry about that. Click. And they would call you back again, you know, just to give some kind of story that, hey, they are calling me. They are calling me back. Because no matter what you do, when there's an active investigation going on, if you called the FBI or whoever's investigating that crime and say, listen, I have some really important information that pertains to this crime, and really the information you're going to give them is the same information that's already out there, they're still going to call you back. They're still going to want to know what you have to say. They're still going to follow up on every lead, which could cause them to call you back. So
that's a really good point.
I'm not saying that what she's saying is not true. I'm just trying to come up with ways that it could have looked like it was true without being true, so that we have two different storylines here to compare. You know, assuming that she's telling the truth and all this is legit, or could this be staged? And if we can prove that it couldn't be staged, then that adds more validity to her actual statement. But if we can prove pretty easily that it could be set up and staged, then maybe we should question that statement a little more. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. And I saw Tony said K-bars are a terrible choice, and then Michael said they do a good job. That's for sure. Curious, Tony, why you say it's a terrible choice, and Michael, why do you say it's a good choice or does a good job?
So
Curious.
I don't want to pull up the video of the K-bar, but I think there's two types of K-bars, and I think there's recreations that yeah, it is designed for close quarter combat. You're right. But this crime was close quarter combat, which is why I think it's better in this in this crime than a machete would be. A machete, you need a lot of room, dude. And it is heavy and it doesn't have a knife. It doesn't have a hand guard. So we know there was stabbing motions being done. Like a machete is not good for stabbing, you guys. That would be horrible.
Yeah, that would be hard.
Yeah, and we watched a video about the K-bar knife, which I'm not going to show because they hit us last time with a copyright, whatever. But this guy took a K-bar, and this company said it's like a genuine K-bar manufacturer. So they manufacture for the military, right? And I'm sure there are recreations out there and stuff. But he took a K-bar, and this was on Amazon. So if you go, or it was not on Amazon. I'm sorry, it wasn't on Amazon. It was Google searching USMC K-bar, and they have a website for it. But he was literally taking a K-bar knife and hacking through a tree like this thick.
Jeez.
Yeah, just like an axe, dude. So I know people are saying that the tip breaks off, that the blade snaps,
Yeah.
but at least from what I saw, that isn't the case. And
maybe for the cheap versions, like off
right,
Amazon, it is.
that's what I was thinking. That's what I
Yeah.
was wondering.
So yeah, Steve G did say that the means of death don't match, and you're right. The coroner did hint that there could be different weapons, or it could have been the motion. It could have been stabbing
Yes.
and then slashing. And that makes it difficult to tell what kind of weapon it is.
Agreed.
Yeah, so it could
Agreed.
be multiple weapons, like two knives and like two hands, or it could just be the K-bar stabbing and slashing, and it makes it hard to know the difference.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yep, they definitely can be fake, Joanne. There's many apps for that.
Yeah, you don't even need an app to fake messages.
No, you don't.
You can literally go into your phone and just put any name you want and have somebody call you and make it look like that. And you can literally change numbers. You can do all kinds of stuff.
So I wasn't saying she was a catfish. I was laughing about you calling her a catfish. I actually think she has some valuable insight, but she's just a character and everything is okay,
Yeah.
J. Ray. Obviously tinged with her opinion. Okay, so maybe she does know some things, but her opinion is making her be very biased. Like she has very biased opinions of it.
Yeah.
Oh, she's bored and wants to be a part of a story. Yeah, maybe. There
could be.
There are people out there that see a major crime case and want to be a part of it. I don't know why you would want to put yourself in the middle of it like Dot did. And maybe
Attention.
WSU Kim, I guess. You want to be special.
Did we get a new...
Tony said it's
hey.
Oh, Bryan, you're a member.
Yeah, new member. And for everyone that's on here, just to give you the rundown real quick, we have memberships on. We got a Patreon. If you would love to support us, we appreciate that big time. And we are moving towards trying to become full-time on here and do more content in more places, live on the scene, more streams daily with breaking news and all of those topics. So if you'd love to help, we appreciate you. Like Bryan Hoffman here, thank you so much, man. Love having you here and the input and conversation. So
have you started the members only thing on Discord?
I mean, I've put things on no, I haven't started the members only group on Discord, but we are absolutely going to do a members only group on Discord. And Discord can actually be live while we stream on here. So as we grow, our members will be able to communicate and talk in this chat here and be able to have a members chat where
in Discord.
In Discord where it's more official, I guess.
So Michael said he used a K-bar in Iraq. That's why he said it. Wow, Michael.
So that is good input then, because I would assume that is military issued.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And then Tony said why he said it's not a good choice is it's a 70-year-old design of a knife. I could show you some real knives. Well, I mean, some knives that are old, I'm sure, like stand the test of time, especially if it's coming from the manufacturer. So maybe there is a difference, but I'm assuming you're meaning like more shape and stuff like that. But everyone's entitled to their opinion on knives, I guess.
It's straight. It's harsh. It's strong. And I think that it would harm somebody with overhead slashing action and stabbing action. So to me, like, I wouldn't want to go up against a knife like that. That is a big blade. And if you need to grab it to like defend yourself, man, terrifying, So I'm sure there are more effective knives out there, like where you can get down easier, you know,
Yeah.
but I mean, I believe that it would kill very easy and very effectively, you know what I mean? And I just think
Yeah.
that it's a better weapon than a machete.
So that's a good question. Can the cheap versions use the marine insignia on the sheath? I think the PC had said there was an insignia.
So if you're talking about in the US, no. But remember where a lot of things are made.
Okay, in China.
They don't have to follow those same rules, right? And as long as they're following whatever their rules are for their country, they can post it on Amazon as long as they're meeting the Amazon rules at the same time. So I think there is some leniency there that they get away with.
Interesting input. I do think it had to be very draining too, which I
Agreed.
heard was theorized about why Dylan may not have been did in. Okay.
Yeah.
Is because at that point the person was extremely tired and ready to get out of there. Like
the only thing though is if Dylan was close enough to see eyebrows, I would assume that she would be close enough to hear like you know what I mean, and recognize that sound, that they're completely out of breath and tired. Because I agree with you, like anybody that's been in an actual fight, I know movies make it look cool with 10-minute fight scenes, or like what's that movie with the shooting that just came out?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, with Keanu Reeves.
Oh my gosh.
I'm drawing a blank. Where he's a hitman.
Yeah, everybody knows that.
John Wick. So it would be great to have fight scenes last that long, like in John Wick, just nonstop. But they most of the time last like 30 seconds.
So I saw that channel Bon, and he does make some valid points. I don't remember. He did serve time in prison. I think I know exactly who you're talking about. And I think he does make good points. So shout out to him. I don't remember the name. Cynthia, I'm also scared about that. But you know who I love? Who's a deep fake?
Here, let me see.
Deep fake Keanu Reeves is my fave ever. It's amazing.
I know. Here, I will find the link because I know there's a link for memberships, you guys. Give me 1 second here.
Just real quick.
What?
Yeah. Honkers gotta honk.
Hold
everybody.
on. Let me see. Because I saw somebody else who...
What? At the bottom of the chat, there should be a little like money sign, and you press that money sign, like where you type, okay? If you're on a phone and you're in the app, the YouTube app, when you go to type a comment, there will be a little money button, and you press that. If you're on a desktop, there should be also right below where you type your message, a little money sign. But there's also
that's it.
There's also a link.
Yeah.
You posted it.
Yep. Which I probably should be posting that like regularly, but still getting that stuff down, especially since we're going to be posting this for on all the podcast platforms. We'll get better about intros. We will get better about posting the links and all that good stuff.
Okay, Bon, when I press it, it says super sticker, super chat, and then below super sticker and super chat, if you scroll down, it says membership and membership gifting. So maybe you need to scroll down. If it doesn't say that, then that's odd, and maybe I should look into it.
Yeah, and hit that like button, guys. It helps us spread our wings on YouTube, and it goes a really long way in helping your favorite creators out. So
it does. Even
hit
just
that
liking,
like, yeah,
just a like helps a lot.
We appreciate
Amanda,
it.
I will send you the link in Discord. I still need the link.
Hey all right.
That's awesome.
Yes, welcome. Super stoked.
So I'll link it in Discord. I'll send you the deep fake Keanu in Discord. It's great. crime sleuthin'.
Yes, we got to.
No, he's talking about a channel
Oh.
that she's really good.
I'll have to check them out. So
oh, crime sleuthing's in the chat.
Oh, awesome. Yes, welcome.
Yeah, hey. Oh, and hey, Elliot.
Yes,
thank
how are you
you,
guys
Amanda.
doing?
Okay, we saw you figured it out, Bon Bon. Thank you so much.
Yes, we appreciate that. We appreciate that. Dude, I am blown away at how few towers are in this area. Seriously. There's next to none.
I think when your average person that probably doesn't has never looked into this, like, to me that looks like a ton, because I've never looked at these things before ever in my life. It looks like a whole bunch.
Yeah, I get it.
And you think when somebody tells you, like, you need 3 to triangulate, you look at a map and you see like 20, you're like, oh yeah, like that's a lot. That's a lot of towers. They should be able to know exactly where he is. But then when you break it down and like show exactly where those towers are covering, and that it's not just a 360 circle around the tower, the way like my uninformed mind would have, before this, would have thought, it makes way more sense now. Yes,
hold on. I'm trying to...
Hey, Riddler.
Not last updated. So, okay. Yeah. So, that? FCC.
We're doing good, Crime Sleuthin'.
Yes. How are you?
She said she watches from time to time when she can't sleep.
Awesome.
Do we put
That
you to
is
sleep?
great.
Is that a compliment? Or is that a shade? I'm just kidding. So Elliot asked a question. You should pop it up real quick.
Yeah.
Oh, we got a new member, Michael Little.
Yes. Members popping off. We need to be posting that link more. So
Yeah.
I lack in those areas. I get so excited to talk to you guys, man, that I forget to do all the important things for the channel. So thank you, Michael. We appreciate that. Welcome. And we love that you guys are all here.
So Elliot asked a question.
What?
And then asked what we thought about his question. If the scene was as quiet as the PCA purports it to be, and if BK truly didn't see DM, do you think he might have sat down for a brief break?
I think anything is possible. I don't think so. I don't think there was a break between crimes, okay? Because for those of you that are on here, I believe that the audio that True Crime Design posted a while ago is legitimate, based on background noise, based on hearing the original sound, and like it. At our house, we have cameras everywhere, all right? So cameras have really bad white noise, and in the original recording, you can hear that really bad white noise in a similar fashion to what like all of our different kinds of cameras that we have on every corner and every angle and all over the place, inside, outside, everywhere. It's doing the same thing. So with that, the background sound and it aligning with certain things, like potentially hearing Ethan say Z, call Xana Z, I think that lets me believe that that is true in that situation. So I think that the crimes happened quick. I think they went upstairs. Ethan and Xana heard the crime, went to inspect, encountered the suspect, and the second ending started from there. So did he sit down and take a breather after that? Totally possible. I think it's totally possible. A lot of people have theorized what the red on the roof is. Or did he immediately walk out? How did he walk out without leaving any DNA? after doing those 2 crimes, did he stop and do a check on his body because he knew he was about to walk out into the house and didn't want to be dripping evidence out the door? Totally. All of those things I think are totally possible in trying to understand what happened.
Cynthia just gifted 5 memberships, and Riddler became a member.
Whoa!
Crime Sleuthin is a member.
It hasn't popped up here for me yet.
It hasn't popped up on the OBS for some reason. I don't know
on.
why, but thank you so much, Cynthia. That's so awesome.
Yes, it will. It will, hopefully.
And
Come
I
on.
saw Tony say that he really wants us to put Crime Sleuthin on a panel.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
Yeah, if you Crime Sleuthin, if you have an email on your channel, I'll go check, and then I can reach out to you.
Oh, wait. Oh, no, it's not yet.
And
weird. What?
If not, if you're interested, you can reach out to our email. Have you figured out the voice thing for this yet?
What,
like
call-ins?
Yeah.
No, I figured out. So we can support somebody coming on.
Yeah.
What we don't have figured out yet is a call-in number, but I will. I have a couple theories to be able to get that done. I'm just trying to figure out why it's not popping up here, so I can highlight the new members and stuff.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's so strange.
It's popped up at the top of the chat though. Like, it's there.
Okay.
That
Are you
is
logged
weird.
in? So click.
It doesn't let me do that stuff from here.
Weird. Okay. But yeah, that is so awesome. Yes. Or
no.
Okay.
Let me figure it out for a second. Why?
Oh, it doesn't pop up over here.
That's really strange.
Yeah, super strange. Okay. Well, I appreciate that. That is awesome. We appreciate that big time, Cynthia.
Yeah, we have StreamYard.
Yeah, we do.
We do. I think it would work. I think it works all in itself. Like, other people that have StreamYard can just connect to yours. Like,
okay.
So are you saying
for guests,
for other people who don't have StreamYard?
Yes, because we are a talk show and want to be able to communicate with our viewers and things like that. So I want to be able to offer a phone number for people to call in and give their opinion on some of the topics that we're talking on. So like, that is our goal that people have suggested to us from the beginning. But yes, exactly. So everything that I've done research on says that we need to get a Google number and download some kind of software where it will connect like when you're calling in, you know. I just haven't done a lot of digging on it yet.
Hey, everybody in the chat, remember, if you are talking to Elliot Pollock, to tag his name to where it highlights for him.
Yes.
So that it will speak it to him, because he's legally blind. Thank you. Please and thank you.
Yes.
So I saw Amanda say she's filming her first video next week at a huge abandoned asylum. Oh my gosh, that's so exciting.
That is awesome.
And when you post it, let us know so we can promote it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I saw something.
Okay, what was I looking up? I was looking up something that I got stopped from all the fun going on in the chat.
But I did see Elliot say he could have also taken a shower.
Oh, I was trying to pull up that map. Okay, hang on. I'm going to pull it up in the video here. So
I did see people theorizing that Bryan could have used his shower curtain. That's why he didn't like
have a shower curtain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That he could have brought it with him and used the shower curtain to like change, like stand on it and change and put all of his bloody clothes in it and then just like wrap it up, like change in the house or like something like that. And then you have those weird rumors about Bethany supposedly seeing someone naked. And that seems like a really odd thing to do and a really good way to get caught. Like, that's pretty dumb. So I don't know if I believe that.
Okay, so here we go. So for you guys watching, there are a whole bunch of towers in the area, you guys. So these towers here are what I was talking about. That, oh, why are both of our eyes closed? Look, we're sleeping on camera. Both of us.
No problem, Elliot. Oh yeah.
So there's actually over 30 cameras in the Moscow area, you guys. Not cameras, towers. There are over 30 towers in the Moscow area. But these towers that are red are private lines. So they're used for airports, planes, police officers, hospitals, for federal, for all the different reasons why we would need to use transmitters and wavelengths to communicate, whether it's radio, whether it's cell phone, whether it's private. These are special lines that are called FXO, and our phones do not connect to them. You have to have a special SIM card in your phone and on a special network, and you have to have the correct operating system to be able to connect to those networks. So just understand, if somebody ever brings up a picture saying like, no, that's not true, there are a ton of towers in the area. Technically, yes, that's true, but there are only 3, maybe 2, but 3 towers that can be used for the general public for Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile. So I just thought it's interesting because that argument always goes back and forth, back and forth. And the other argument where people say, well, there's only one tower, kind of true. There is only one real tower, only one standalone cell phone tower in Moscow. But there are 2 micro towers on the water tower and on that one building that has the hard name.
The
Theophilus.
Theophilus, yes.
Theophilus.
That's right.
Yes.
The building.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I know the shower curtain thing is pretty dumb. I agree, Cynthia. I get it. Trust me.
I don't know if the shower curtain thing is dumb, but I don't think it could be used for preventing DNA transferring in a car. And that's something you hear a lot, that like, well, he could have put it on the seat and
what
sat
about
in
the
there.
steering wheel?
Agreed.
What about the floorboard?
We're talking about micro blood and DNA particles that if you have your air on, if you have your window cracked, when you open the door to get in your car, like that is going to, we're talking about his DNA, touch DNA is on the scene and being covered in blood, and opening your door, having the air on, the window open, air moving across your body, and you're not going to have that flying all over the place. You think they don't check his air filters for the cabin filter and in the places that are up under the dash where you go to grab the any of the electrical components up there? Like, it would be somewhere.
Yeah,
it would be somewhere.
Ian said that I just finally got you to join me in meditation to hail Odin.
Right, like our 3 in our video. I can't believe no one saw that.
Yeah.
I can't believe no one called it out. Because
know.
we have some like people that love the tin hat topics. And I don't mean that, obviously you guys know I don't mean that in a bad way. It's a good thing. We love going there. But not to see the 3, that's funny.
Yeah, he's a guy. They made it very clear he had hardly anything in his apartment. That's a good point, Bon Bon.
You know how many times I had an apartment, you guys, and I didn't use a shower curtain? It works okay just to hang a big towel over it. All right.
Okay, so the chat box is only for super stickers, super chats, and gifting memberships. Okay, Cynthia, thanks for letting us know. Because on my end, which I'm obviously logged into our account, it shows a regular membership button.
Yeah.
So
for some reason, it just didn't let us. It didn't pop up the gifting memberships on my side to be able to pop it up there. And I thought last time it did. So strange. No, just we already showed those, right? Yeah.
Yeah. We did.
All right. Well. But yeah, I just thought it was interesting with the towers.
Oh, so Crime Sleuth, and I think they meant like maybe a plastic shower curtain, not like a fabric one. And I have like we've seen that in movies before, right? People like wrapping a body in a shower curtain. I've seen that before.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, none of those bodies were moved, so what were they? Okay, so they're assuming or thinking that, like, what would he have done with the shower curtain? So if we're thinking of this idea, right, that he took a shower curtain in, laid it on the ground, took all the clothes off, and then put the corners together, right, and then twisted it up and threw it over his shoulder, and we're thinking that maybe Bethany could have seen someone walking naked carrying a shower curtain. Is that what we're thinking?
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, all right.
So, Elliot had an interesting question. Any
What?
idea why they didn't just subpoena his Google
We go.
Google location history? If you Google location history from your phone now, it'll tell you everywhere you've been for years.
So it depends on what his settings are in his phone. Like on my phone, it won't show you that. I do not allow my location on any apps. And just because I have knowledge in the wireless industry and understand how it works and everything. So I don't know. I just don't like that, honestly. But so depending on what his settings are, and another big key factor is his phone was off. His phone was off. When you turn your phone off, it is disconnected from any of the GPS apps and background data and satellites and towers. Now, I've heard there are some apps that can remote turn on and still have some apps running even when your phone's off, but those are few and far between. So
yeah, I'll send you a friend request, Amanda, if you haven't sent me one already.
Some of those shower curtains are thick, man.
They are
super thick.
Yeah, they are. Some of them really are. And they always stink.
I agree with the black garbage bag, for real.
Well, a garbage bag could be torn more easily than a thick shower curtain.
That's good. So we know he's a clean freak. We already know that. So he's not going to leave a shower curtain for weeks while having Christmas with his family.
What do you mean leave it?
Like leave it up where it's wet and not clean, and you know what I mean? I think that's possible. Shower curtains grow grime.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So
yeah, he was like kind of OCD, I guess, from what I heard of him.
Yeah, and agreed, a heavy-duty trash bag would make more sense. And plus, you could just stick that bad boy in your pocket. Imagine trying to carry around a shower curtain. You know? It's not going to bundle up very good. It's not going to roll up very good or fold up very good. That would be inconvenient. And yes, shower curtains are nasty. Serious.
They're so gross.
Yeah. So almost every phone has that. Yeah. Yes. So what's interesting though is depending on your settings, it won't always know where you're at. So my phone bounces back and forth between Chicago and Wisconsin. Being in the Chicago area, it's because Chicago has a main cell phone data center, and Wisconsin does too. So sometimes when Chicago gets heavy, it'll transfer to Wisconsin and show me Wisconsin's. Yeah.
Yeah, wearing like a black plastic suit. That's very possible.
Yeah, and Elliot, why not just carry a gym bag? I know. There's a ton of different
yeah, you could have lined
reasons.
the inside of a gym bag with like a heavy duty trash bag and thrown it all in there and then just tossed it somewhere or burned it Something like that.
I agree.
What Bon said, there's no way to fully clean DNA. They didn't find any DNA anywhere. None, not even chemicals. J Ray's a member. She got gifted a membership by Cynthia.
Yeah.
Yay, J Ray. Congratulations. That's awesome.
It is awesome. It is.
Yeah.
But this is the map I was looking for, you guys. So there's also additional towers in here as well.
Wait, didn't we see in body cam footage kind of his bathroom? Like that one little clip? Or am I mistaken? That like sliver of a second that we watched that one time, didn't it show like
yeah, I think
bathroom?
It does. I think it does.
I don't think it was a shower stall. I think it was a tub, but I can't
Yeah,
remember.
it was a tub.
Yeah,
Yep.
I think so. Jair is just saying watch it be a shower stall that doesn't need a shower curtain.
Here, I'll just quick search real quick. Hang on. So
oh, Jair, you didn't even know you were a member. Yes, you did. Cynthia gifted 5 memberships while you were gone. Cynthia Gaines, which is awesome. So, crime sleuthin', all we know is somehow if he did it, he managed to keep all DNA and evidence out of his car. Amazing feat if he's the one. Investigators will ask him forever how he managed that if convicted. Yeah, for real. Definitely. I feel like the only way for that to happen is to literally be all suited up, okay? And then somehow remove that.
And then the taped eyebrows.
And yeah. And then or he didn't drive his car. He had to have had like a pretty, like Steve was saying, like a kill kit, but also like a cleanup kit.
Yeah, I can't find the picture just easily, so I'll just drop it for now and we'll come back to it. I'll find it though.
It was Cynthia Gaines gifted it, J Ray. Thanks to her.
Yes. Awesome.
Yep.
I know. Oh, the
Thank
taped
you,
eyebrows emoji. That would be so funny. Where's the taped eyebrows? Wait, what video was that on?
Whoever, Bon thinks whoever did it showered and walked out wearing Ethan's clothes, which is why we thought that body cam footage from Banfield with the guy wearing Vans was so weird.
Yeah, I agree.
Something about that. We're trying to figure out if that jersey was something Ethan ever wore.
Yes, the USA jersey. Because when you look at that guy's social media, he's not wearing anything that is like USA resembling like
jersey
patriotism, sports, and anything like that. So I thought it was super interesting. Wait, what was the last one that it is the slide. Okay. Where's my taped eyebrows? We need an emoji with this.
Taped eyebrows?
Yes.
Well, we're on our last emoji, but after all these members tonight, I think honestly I'll be able to add more at this point.
Great. We need this taped eyebrow emoji.
Because when I was trying to add some earlier, it was like, oh, last one until you get, I think it was 4 more members, and I'm pretty sure we hit that threshold just now. Thanks to all of you lovely people.
Yes. So was Ethan staying there?
Someone just said another guy was wearing women's clothes. What?
I mean, I guess that's cool if that's your thing. But like in reference to the crime.
You think Ethan was living at 1122? I don't. According to everything we know, he wasn't. But
the clothes is what she's getting at.
Yeah, but he could have had a few clothes over there. Like they were dating, him and Xana. Like I could see him leaving like a change of clothes there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I agree.
The video where you looked like a 1940s cartoon. I don't know. You were wearing a brown hat, if that helps.
For which one?
Oh, she was trying to help you figure out which one was the taped
this one, yeah.
How did the mouse just get so big? That was weird. Can we do that? over here so that people can see it better?
I mean, I can make the mouse huge, but that's
it's just so tiny when people are looking at it at a phone or something and you're trying to point to something.
I could. Yeah, I could for sure. All right, guys. I think that is the show for tonight. This was such a good one, man. I'm disappointed we aren't shooting another one tomorrow. But tomorrow is the pre-recorded podcast. So we are doing new topics, 6 new topics, 6 new cases, 6 new breaking news stories coming at you with 12 total new pieces of content or 1 long forum podcast. The long forum podcast gets posted roughly between 10 to 14 days behind. And then that is cut up, and that's what the shorter videos are that we post each week, and then have conversations with you guys about and talk through the evidence and all the details. And like, the live streams are my favorite part, you guys. I love getting on here, and there's so much good information from the viewers. Like, gosh, you guys are so on top of it and on top of your information that I usually walk away from here feeling like, you know, mind blown with all this new information. So I appreciate all of you for that. And I think we have one of the best communities out there, and we will absolutely get the phone number going, and we will start having people come on the talk show. That's something we're leaning into, that true crime talk show. I've already saved, all the stuff.
Good night, Michael. Thank you, Bon Bon. I know, Ian, it's great. Good night, Cynthia Clough. Good night, Cynthia Gaines.
Yes, good night, everybody. Thank you all for the new members. Yep. Check us out on Spotify. So these are going on Spotify under T.R.L, the True Crime Talk Show, Thought Riot Live, and we have our long forum under Thought Riot Podcast, and we will be back here on Sunday.
Good night, Kate. I know, Amanda. That's why we got to get mods soon.
We will.
Yeah.
We're figuring it out.
Thank you guys so much.
We'll see you soon. Bye, Crime Sleuthin'. We need to connect. Yes.
Yeah, it was a great live tonight.
It was.
Yeah,
Thank you all.
If you're interested, Crime Sleuthin', just reach out to the email.
Yeah. Shoot us an email. We'll figure something out, and we'll talk to you soon. See ya.
Good night. Have a great one. Bye, J. Ray.
Bye.